I feel like that's worse than 6 of 8, not sure. But they also ended up bringing over 3 of the players from DSG who actually did, weirdly enough, finish better than Team Liquid last year. So a lot of unknowns coming into this matchup, especially because the teams change so much from week to week. So we had the C9 TL matchup at the start where TL lost, but then they really dominated against Shopify.
Yeah.
And then Sentinels looked completely out of sorts against DSG in week 1, but was way more coordinated and getting Dragon Soul in both games 1 and 2 last week. So they clearly found a workaround for not being on the same page.
All right, so getting into draft here for the first game of our best of 3. It's first pick selected by Team Liquid. Sentinels then going to respond by choosing to go to the blue side. It's Sentinels banning out the Rumble, the Azir, and the Renekton. Meanwhile, Team Liquid takes out the Orianna. They get rid of the Cassante. They get rid of the Jarvan. That early Cassante ban, I feel like you don't see a lot of times, but in a time where you're going up against a dude who played over 300 games with your org and won a lot of Cassante games, I like the respect here from TL.
I like it as well. Mid lane bans are traded. There's an 80% ban rate against Hambach of Jarvan, so it is a relatively banned champion anyway, but I'm looking forward to seeing when Hambach does play Jarvan. It's not a champion he's got like huge historic stats on, but I do imagine it's something he's probably a demon on in scrims, so going to want to track that as the series progresses if they end up letting that through. Nothing too surprising with the first pack Ambessa because that's set up by the Cassante ban for Team Liquid.
Yep. Going to go ahead and pick that one up there for Morgan. Meanwhile, back over to Sentinels. Still plenty of OPs left to go. The Varus is going to be the instant lock-in here. A lot of times throughout the history of League of Legends, Varus goes one place and one place only. He lanes bot as the marksman. But there have been a couple of times, including recent history, where he can be flexed to the top lane here too. I feel like playing into Ambessa could be very dangerous. Ambessa also could be in the jungle, so there's flex potential for that here as well, as the second pick for Sentinels is the Pantheon.
It would be so wild if Impact's first game since leaving Team Liquid a second time is Varus top.
Yeah, I would be completely surprised.
He's like, the Team Liquid chains are off. I've been waiting to play range tops this entire time. I doubt it. I think it's the AD carry Varus.
Most likely as well, but I had to at least bring it up in case we do get the 1% chance. In case we do, but we're going to get Ryze locked in here on the side of Team Liquid, most likely for Quid. Excited to see how that one works out. The champ is very powerful with mana stacking being as strong as it's ever been with the addition of Actualizer to the game. Now, what do we want here? We're hovering it back and forth with a couple of different junglers. Obviously, if we get one of those locked, it's 100% tell that the Ambessa is going into the top lane there for Morgan. What's Jose Dioto want to pilot here? Okay, the Wukong for the jungle for Jose.
Quid was just having fun cycling champions. It was always going to be a Sundered Sky 80 jungler. He's just picking between,
like, come on now.
Do we want a little bit more team fight or a little bit more early game? Do we want the Xin or the Wukong? And he's just going to end up going with Wukong, which I like for him because him, Jose, and Quid have just been extremely good at creating action together. And I think the Ryze Wukong is another good combo where they can go to work.
Meanwhile, on the other side, you want to talk about good combos. Pantheon Taliyah, just a staple combo, simple, point and click, secure yourselves the kill, set it up for the seismic shove. And this also not just has that micro combo potential, but the macro combo potential. Grand Starfall plus the Weaver's Wall, working together, targeting side lanes, making plays around objectives. I need to see coordination between these ults.
Good globals. We'll see if they can make plays happen, not just at Drake. Because actually, if you have a team with a lot of globals like this, you do actually pay a power cost for that. So if you just end up grouping around singular objectives without utilizing the globals, you're going to be weaker. So Sentinels is going to have a bit of a challenge here since they haven't actually shown good map coordination outside of just grouping for Drake so far this split.
Okay, second half of the bans, and Sentinels are going to take some shots at the AD carries. They want to get rid of the Sivir. I feel like when the enemy team is showing 2 divers and a Ryze, Sivir can be something that would synergize very well with that, so they want to remove that additional move speed to dogpile into a big fight. Gwen is going to be the ban for Team Liquid. They do want to try to prevent that from being picked top lane into the Ambessa, as Ezreal will be the next ban for Sentinels. I already mentioned the Taliyah and the Pantheon being able to combo out a carry and find that pick. As long as Ezreal is paying attention and you're playing on land ping, you can just arcane shift out of the way of Pantheon's stun and you're not going to get hit by the seismic shove follow-up right next to it.
For sure. I think Yon's just going to play Jhin. I think that's what's left for him. They've gotten rid of the Spell Shield Sivir. They've gotten rid of the safe Ezreal. They have a lot of damage in both Ryze, Wukong, and Bessa, so just getting more utility from the AD carry would make sense. That's if Team Liquid is down to play like this, because we know they've been absolutely dominating people in scrims. Jhin is one of those picks that AD carries love playing, but oftentimes their teams don't let them play it. Here's where I think it actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
So we'll see. Obviously, they might have something cooking, and it's Sentinel's pick right now, which is still something we're adjusting to. They're on the left side, but they're second pick, so they're actually the ones picking after the second ban phase, but Impact's likely picking his champion now since he's up against Dambessa.
Okay, he's going to go ahead and lock the Aatrox here. This is one of those standard, just like it's a solid laner. It can contribute to team fights. It can have some threat on its own in a side lane later on in the game. Kind of checks every box, I feel like, a little bit. I do worry a little more for drain tank style champions as we've moved into this new season. More so for solo queue, but also sometimes if you have a top laner who's really willing to put the pressure on you, if they opt to take the ignite instead of the teleport, drain tank champions can seriously have a lot of their points of strength completely turned on against them.
LYON doesn't want to play Jhin.
No.
He wants to play Lucian Nami and go for the lane kingdom. This will be interesting, actually, because every lane on Team Liquid wants to push, which can work really well if you're really on point, but it can be dangerous. Oftentimes, you want to have the lanes that you're specifically playing around and the lanes that you're specifically playing weak side with. But now, the Lucian Nami is going to be going hard for trades. The Ryze Taliyah is a matchup we see a lot of, and then Ambessa Aatrox is another one where any type of jungle attention can swing the matchup. So a very aggressive pick there by Yannick or JJ.
The other thing I'm looking at, Jet, we've got a lot of limited range here on Team Liquid, right? You've got two melee divers up there in top and jungle. Ryze is a very limited mid lane mage in terms of his range. Yeah. Lucian has shorter range than other marksmen, and you're fighting into a Rel. You're fighting into Varus with Chains of Corruption. You have the Unraveled Earth from the Taliyah, point-and-click CC from Pantheon. So when everybody in this short-range team goes in, it's kind of what you're saying with you want to see the lanes be coordinated in how they push and move forward and back. Everybody's got to have that same cohesion on the team fight level too, because otherwise you're just going to be running into a whole bunch of stuff that they are very happy to have you run into.
Yeah, I really wish I could go run and grab Spooks or Spawn and ask why they're doing Lucian Nami. It's probably because they've just been destroying people with it in scrims all week. So if it's ever up, it's just a combo they should pick because it's good in the game. Because I'd want to ask, like, why not Jhin Rakan? Like, that to me, with all the damage they have on the top side, just pack the bot lane with utility and go for it. But we'll see. If they're super confident, they're going to just try and run this game and blow Sentinels out early.
I'm ready to see it. Can Team Liquid bring the fire and look strong heading into the bracket stage? Or are we going to see a Sentinels that, like you already touched on earlier, continues to sharpen and refine themselves? I think the week 1 loss to Disguised, certainly not what anybody would want to see as a new org entering the league, but then at least being able to bring it back in that week 2. Here's your real test now, though, right? Because you've already had to play against Disguised, you've already had to play against Dig. I can tell you right now that at least out of all of us here on the LCS team, those were the two that we had rated the lowest in terms of our tier lists, our predictions, whatever you want to call it, for this this first tournament, first quote-unquote split leading up to first stand. So now that you've fought the 2 lowest rungs on the ladder, let's see how you stack up against the higher rated teams. And I think Team Liquid is certainly one of those squads.
They really are. Based on the scrim power rankings, they're already champions. But they need to be able to show
scrim bucks.
Yeah, they need to show it on stage. A little bit of banter happening in all chat between the 2 teams because Impact has paused. There is a claim that his runes changed at the conclusion of Champ Select, so they need to investigate this because if it's player error, they don't let you remake Champ Select. If it ends up being client bug, which they're going to check with the shadow play, then they'd end up doing the remake.
Right.
Impact, if you've been following the LCS on, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, Impact has not had a good go the last 2 weeks. Have you been following?
No, I'm not on TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah, well, are YouTube Shorts? You just got to pick one.
I'm barely on social media, bro.
It's true. It's true. Anyway.
I'm 35.
So they had, week 1, they had Impact do a math problem.
Okay.
Where he had to do, in Canada we called it bed mass. But there's like a different name for it in American. But it's essentially just like, what order of operations do you do math in?
Oh, the PIMDOS, yeah. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction.
Brackets, exponents.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, Impact couldn't do it. He was the only pro. He just messed it up.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah.
So
and then last week, they did the reaction time test with a couple players from his team and like 6 or so, and he also finished last. So he's just not, and then now he messed up his runes. Like, come on, man.
Well, let's see, because I think, if I remember right, week number 1, we had a similar problem to this, and when they investigated, the problem did actually come from the client trolled the player, and the runes weren't like, the guy picked the right thing, and then the client yeeted it back to what it was.
So listen, it would be dishonest if I said the client never has bugs. In fact, the client in which I'm trying to use to spectate the game keeps failing to patch. So I am also not in Spectator, but they're not going to remake for me. We're going to remake for Impact. Let's see. Cassante runes, support Cassante.
No, I changed 100%. Impact, tough it out. WTHJ. Let's check.
Show me Impact's actual runes, if you can. The chat is amazing, but I wanted to see the players lined up. They're having some good magic.
How bad is it?
How bad is it exactly?
Is it like I wanted to take Grasp and it gave me Conqueror? Because then it's like, that's still good. You're just going to have more scaling versus laning. Or is it like I wanted to take Grasp and now I have Airy?
Exactly. Does he Airy Aatrox? Is it just completely GG here? Oh no, they might be telling him that he just has the wrong runes if they're checking the shadow play.
Oh, it has just been confirmed in our ear that this is player error for Impact. So whatever these runes end up being, we will show you guys as soon as we have the graphic prepared. That is what Impact will be playing this Aatrox with.
I almost want to have like Scout's Honor. Hey, Morgan, let me remake, please. And if like everyone in the game agrees, we just like old school, like just let him do it sort of thing.
Just like back in the days when it was like the ladder tournaments and stuff. Yeah, it's just like, okay, so I brought the wrong thing.
I don't want to dishonorably beat you in the first game back because you messed up your runes. Like, I want to beat you because I'm better.
Beat the real you.
Yeah, but that's not how this works. No. So I need to see what he has. You can see there's the life drained out of him. Guardian Aatrox.
Yeah, it's Guardian, okay.
So I imagine everything is right except the Guardian. He probably was clicking his no, Demolish as well. Yeah. I never see people bring Demolish.
Yeah, at least he does have Revitalize. He's got Second Wind, but and then he has free boots and he has cookies.
So that's okay. So the Demolish is a little weird, maybe intentional. Second Wind is real. The Guardian's gonna be rough.
Yeah, that does nothing for him in the actual lane for the actual trades. Grasp also taken for Morgan Zambessa, so you have the actual good laning green rune.
Yeah, of all things to have in his first game back against Team Liquid for the second time, he has had such an incredible history.
He really has.
Which is why he really wants to win this game. Look at this, 374 games on Team Liquid, an unbelievable amount. 5 titles. In fact, Team Liquid doesn't win titles without Impact, and 1 MVP, which he got in 2024. So such an incredible career, again, across 2 different stints on Team Liquid, and now up against them here. And I will also say, compared to last year, he's looked really good at the start of this year. He's had good counter matchups. His KDA's improved. He's involved in a lot of fights. So most top laners have a really hard time getting involved in the game this split with the lane changes, with the role quests. Impact, not so. Also up in solo kills. So the early signs of this year in Impact, notwithstanding taking Guardian Aatrox, have been really good.
You know what I'm going to be really impressed by? If that 2 in solo kills goes up to a 3 while piloting Guardian Aatrox.
Bro, if you get solo killed by Guardian Aatrox, that's going to mental boom you more than Grasp Aatrox.
Maybe that's what he's playing for the entire time. Mental warfare from the veteran of over a decade of League of Legends play here.
Is there a worse rune to have as your keystone on Aatrox top lane than Guardian? Like, it's the most support rune possible.
Yeah, it legit just doesn't do anything.
I'll take Electrocute, Dark Harvest, Fleet. I'll press the attack.
All of that stuff at least does something. As bottom lane, hold on now, CoreJJ might be in a little bit of trouble. And yes, he is. He's out of there. Hambach just jumps in, auto attack, first blood. They decide to give the money over to the Pantheon instead of to Rahel on the Varus. So we'll see how much more Hambach can get accomplished now that he's further accelerated.
I love it. Hambach skips Krugs, goes for an early gank. Team Liquid was so heavily prioritizing the lane, they used their wards in the lane. They didn't ward the river, so he gets an easy ramp around and gets first blood.
And I feel like this is exactly what you were talking to us about. Now, hold on. Jose Dioto jumping into the mid lane here. Does find a lot of damage onto Dark Wings. Quid ghosted Dark Wings. Barely gets away on that one. But yeah, what you mentioned back in draft, talking about the Lucian and Nami, I'd love to ask the coaches because all 3 lanes always want to push, and that could be dangerous. Well, Hambach says, all right, if you want to have this Lucian Nami pushing for some reason, I'll happily pick up the free gold.
For sure. A lot of pros have said Hambach's one of the more difficult junglers to play against in scrims because he goes for a lot of plays that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Makes it happen on stage here as well. With that being said, not like it really gave his bottom lane that big of an advantage. You can see the gold for both players is still even. It will only give Hambach that slight goal lead over Jose.
Exactly. That's why I was a little bit surprised to see the fact that they wanted to give the kill over to Hambach. You could have just let him get the stun for the assist and then have Rahel take the last hit.
Sure.
But no, they wanted to give it to the Pantheon. Hambach's going to be the one with the extra money in his pocket. The 400 gold from First Blood just means for Pantheon most likely an extra longsword. So what can 10 AD accomplish?
Yeah,
that's the question.
Speaking of the rarity of Guardian Aatrox, our stats man has done a poll. So according to LAW Analytics, in Emerald plus solo queue on this patch, no one has taken Guardian, even accidentally. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah, 0 games with Guardian currently reported on the new patch. So that's something.
That's pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Breaking new ground here.
Yeah, he's a trendsetter. He's continually forging new opportunities up here in the top lane with the Guardian Aatrox. 20 seconds on the clock until the first dragon spawns in this game. We'll see who has the bot lane control to be able to lead the charge on that one. Morgan up about 300 gold up here in the top lane is the largest individual gold lead besides that First Blood for Hambach so far on the scoreboard, as Hambach does seek to invade the jungle now with Jose Diodo.
Yeah, trying to make something happen, get some early control over this Drake, and I wonder if they're going to have the same type of Drake prio they had last week. So really interestingly, I mentioned how Sentinels didn't know what they were doing week 1, but was really coordinated in week 2. It's about this play around Drake. Specifically look in game 1, after they took that first Drake, Drake was only live for 19 seconds, 18 seconds, and then 14 seconds on their way to Soul. And then in game 2, even though there's slightly slower Drakes, they still got a pre-26-minute Soul. That was with Baron between 3rd and 4th Drake. So they were so focused around securing that objective, which I think worked last week when they were better than their opponents in lane, or at least even. It's harder to do against Team Liquid when Team Liquid is constantly trying to push both of these lanes. But you can see Hambach still trying to set things up, just not really able to get it because Rahel and Huhi are getting pushed in.
Rahel and Huhi are getting pushed in, and this time around, Jose Diodo is shadowing as LYON and Core complete that push. They know that Hambach is likely wanting to look at this bottom lane here yet again, if nothing else, just for the dragon control that you're talking about that Sentinels was able to express in their previous series. But as long as Jose was ready to be here, in case there was a 3v2 that would need to be turned into a 3v3, LYON and Core will crash the wave.
Yeah, and last thing on the Drake control, I think bot lane's really important in that as well. And last week against Dignitas, you can see the CSD for Rahel was positive in both game 1 and 2, compared to last week, or the week before against DSG, where it was really variable. And Impact's still going for some of these all-ins. Imagine if the man had grasp, what he'd be able to accomplish.
Well, he popped World Ender, he stabbed Morgan once, and then hit him with Q1 once. Yep. That was the most value that he got out of World Ender there. So
getting the wave in.
Yeah, okay, he's got control over the way, well, actually, no, the Cannon Minion's still alive for Morgan. So World Ender, I don't think accomplished everything you would have hoped for it to accomplish there, as Morgan can now just back away, does have a 13 CS lead, so just about 2 waves that is going to shrink a little bit as Impact farms up these extra minions that are still left alive. Morgan's going to take his recall, teleport back into lane now with Caulfield's Warhammer, pickaxe, and refillable, so a nice strong buy for the first recall.
Yeah, Morgan is likely going to be a problem. Immediately ults him as well, as Impact is trying to hold the wave. Might get the solo kill.
Yeah, this one's looking rough. Morgan comes back to lane, and no mercy for the misplaced Keystone. Just 100 to 0's Impact right there with the fresh purchase of all the new damage. Solo kill Morgan.
Jeez, I'd love to see how he got the angle for that ultimate there. I feel like Impact was trying to hold the wave in front of his turret to actually play safe, but ended up getting surprised by Morgan ulting. Morgan has so much tempo now on Impact and can look to make a play on the rest of the map. So he just straight up teleports right onto a minion. Impact was just trying to get one more CS before probably resetting. It's got to be tilting to take Guardian in the first place, but I felt like he was holding on pretty well. That moment might push it over the top because that's going to accelerate Morgan towards Eclipse, and then that lane's going to be unplayable.
Towards Eclipse, he's got the EXP advantage now. 800 gold individual lead for Morgan over Impact because of that kill that he achieved. I guess it wasn't a true 100 to 0. Impact only had about 80% health, but still just going from the vast majority of your health bar down to 0 because you overstayed for 1 second. That's the kind of punishment that for Team Liquid fans, you want to see Morgan recognize the opportunity to achieve. And for
sure.
Impact, like you said, it's just so frustrating to have to deal with that. Morgan knows how strong he is. He, however, also knows Public Execution is still down for the last 1/4 of the cooldown. Impact does now have World Ender back up, so it's not like Morgan can put a ton of pressure onto Guardian Aatrox until that ulti is ready to cast again.
Looks like Team Liquid might be going for that first Drake right now, as Morgan was looking to reset to give them even more pressure, but it seems like we're just going to have a trade here of the Grubbies for that Drake.
So here's my problem with taking Grubs from the Sentinels' perspective in a game like this. Guardian Aatrox. Because Grubs require something else to give you any sort of reward, and if you can't get pressure in the side lanes, it's much harder to get the payoff from the additional damage to the turrets.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at those plates, man. 5, 5, 5 all across the lanes. They've been holding pressure in these lanes, warding River aggressively on the bottom side since that first blood gank by Hambach, and they're going to continue to do that. So I understand. I think Hambach did what he could. You're not contesting Drake when mid and bot are pushed in and your top laner is down teleport and also pressure in lane. So take what you can get. I think that's all that play was.
It's just sometimes get what you can get doesn't feel great considering the state of the game. It is, however, a very low turret plate game between both teams. Yes, there's 0 taken by Sentinels so far, but on the other side, Team Liquid has taken 2 in the top lane and 1 in the bottom lane. The 2 from top side also occurring because Morgan got the solo kill. So just really low damage to turrets in the first 10 minutes overall.
Yeah, I am secretly hoping for some montage moment where Impact like flashes next to Rahel to proc Guardian and save his life in a crucial late game team fight, so we have a payoff for this tragic moment in Impact's game against Team Liquid when he brings the worst possible keystone onto Aatrox. I want to hear chat. I want to hear if chat can think of a worse rune for Aatrox to have, because I currently.
And he means keystone, by the way. Don't think of something random like some junk little minor rune.
Like, what is the worst possible Aatrox rune? It is like Unsealed Spellbook is better.
Yeah,
First Strike is better.
Is way better because you can get like Exhaust and Ignite from that.
Yeah, everything has a use. Guardian is the worst rune for a solo laner, surely.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like
they're saying Airy. Airy is better.
No, dude, Airy's way better.
It'll do damage. Lethal Tempo is better,
you can at least poke the guy with Q1, Q2. You can get value out of Airy.
Yeah. So the chat is saying Airy, Phase Rush, Lethal Tempo. They're all better.
Yeah, this all seems better, but right now, things could not be worse for Quid here in the mid lane. The gank squad shows up. Hambach, Huhi, and Darkwings working together to grab the second kill of the game for Sentinels. The gold's still equal despite the 1 kill lead for the Sentinel side, and we'll see what they can try to build after this as Core JJ just takes a ton of damage. Over the ball comes Huhi, goes for the wombo crumble, but Core JJ with a nice tidal wave. Remember that the tidal wave comes out right behind Nami, so it was able to interrupt the crash down animation of Huhi, prevent that extra bit of CC that could have spelled Core JJ's demise. The entire time, though, as Core and LYON are distracted with this jungle invade, Rahel has been able to get the wave crashed into the tier 1 turret bottom lane. And hey, the Grubs are paying some dividends as Rahel barely manages enough damage to take the second plate.
I mean, a beautifully done sequence, starting with killing Quid and then using that pressure to also win bottom lane. So they managed to take temporary control of both mid and bot, and that actually gives them a gold lead in this game thanks to the kill they got mid, as well as completely denying LYON a wave, as well as really farming some of those plates. So Sentinels definitely staying in this game. That was a really nice sequence.
And honestly, the only gold advantage for TL now is the top lane. You can see here your MasterCard power spike for Hambach as he secures the Sundered Sky on that jungle Pantheon. Sundered Sky also secured in the top lane for impact on that Aatrox, give him a little bit of extra snappy trading power and healing. And we are hitting those first spikes, pretty much across the board for both sides. Hambach gonna go ahead, continue clearing through the jungle here. And Jat, I am yet to see either the Weaver's Wall or the Grand Starfall come in to make a big play for the side of Sentinels. But considering we've got the next Drake here in about 90 seconds, maybe some playmaking, some setup before that, like you mentioned back in Champ Select, right? Make the fight unfair before it's time for the objective. That could be the angle to try to build a bigger lead.
And if they burn flashes anywhere, you can look to punish that. So Core JJ losing his flash and heal in that skirmish would give Hambach a bit of a window if LYON and Core try and push up at all. So they're actually going to lose a lot of the aggression that they have in this bottom lane with the Lucian Nami because Core has no flash and Hambach is a little bit unleashed on the map right here. Nice job, Impact.
Yep.
Calculated out of there. just hang on, Impact. Just hang on until the laning phase is over.
Weather the storm. Hey, it's what you were talking about previously, right? Where the last time he comes back against Team Liquid, they all just focus him furiously. He's not being focused by the players this time. It's the rune that's really got it out for him. But as long as he can hold on, he's still a guy who's been playing the game for 15 years. He's still a guy who won a world championship back in 2013. There's players in the league who were like 3 years old when Impact was a world champion.
Yeah, he won a world championship before Keystone Ruse. So now that he doesn't really have one, that's normal for him. He played years without Keystone Ruse.
Yeah, everything was so different back in 2013. This man has seen every version of League of Legends that has ever existed. He's seen the ones that have only ever bared themselves in Mark Merrill's mind's eye. This man is a League of Legends force of nature. So we'll see what he can accomplish with that rune, as now we do have everybody kind of squaring off, a bit of a stare down around the second Drake.
CoreJJ's got to be really careful with no flash. That's why we had Quid right behind him in case they jumped on top of Core to try and return the damage. Nice little quick, cheeky bot lane push by the Lucian.
Okay, Jose to join. Hombok trading a little bit. Cyclone pops off right with the CoreJJ ulti behind it. A lot of damage to the Hombok, staying alive an extra second thanks to the shield, but he does fall down. Impact sweeping around on the side here with the World Ender. A lot of damage under Hell, and Sentinels have lost their AD carry. Darkwing's trying to get away from Quid, and Impact has no one left to guard. He flashes over the wall, just barely stays alive. But Sentinels have lost their jungler, they've lost their AD carry, they've lost their mid laner behind enemy lines, and Team Liquid is going to take those 3 kills. They're going to take this Drake, and they are going to take control of the game here in the bot side river.
Oh man, I'd say Jose plays this fight incredibly well.
Yeah, we can fight then. We can fight here. Yeah.
He just cannot TP. He just cannot TP. TPing. Fight here first. Yeah, fight here first.
No combo Talia, no combo Talia.
We came in. Going. Copy.
Look, Varus. Talia no flash.
Aatrox can Aatrox.
Aatrox.
Aatrox has flash up.
Okay.
I'm coming. Anyone?
No flash, Talia.
I will chase. Good job. Well played, guys. Good TP.
Yeah.
Always very hectic comms for Team Liquid, I will say. There's always CoreJJ is incredibly loud in team fights, but sometimes that can be very beneficial. In that fight, to me, Jose, both with the engage, but then later on, managing to reach Rahel as Morgan had the flank TP, really gave Sentinels no way to play that fight, and the game's kind of been blown open here unless Team Liquid lose something quick.
Yeah, 2 Drakes, 3,000 gold ahead. As Sentinels try to defend the entryway into their jungle, it's Team Liquid looking to make this map smaller for their opponents, placing down control wards past the midline here of the river, wanting to control this topside river area to be prepared to take the Rift Herald, and then that's just going to give you more fuel for the fire to snowball the game even further away from Sentinels. You can see gold leads in every single role except support now for Team Liquid, which really doesn't matter that much anyway. The biggest of which is the nearly 2,000 gold individual lead for Morgan Zambessa here in the top lane. Weaver's wall coming in.
Whoa,
Sentinels want to try to make the play. LYON gets caught out. Wombo combo shut down on the Team Liquid 80 carry. Sentinels finds a critical piece as now Hombok's going to head over to the Rift Herald, and all that preparation Team Liquid was doing might have just been for naught.
Yeah, really nicely done there by Sentinels. It looked to me like Darkwings managed to sneak through a hole in Team Liquid's vision, since Team Liquid was really aggressively holding the river with 3, but then they realized there were 4, and everyone just had to back away. Now they're looking to make a play on Impact, though. Goodbye.
Yeah, Impact, he at least heals.
Oh,
yeah, he gets himself the passive auto attack, which gives you a massive spike of healing, especially when it procs in the same auto as Sundered Sky. So quick surge to the health bar, but as soon as the next wave arrives, there's still more than enough firepower to knock him down. Wave crashes into the tier 1. Team Liquid's going to take this turret now. That will be their second turret take of the game. So even though the Herald exists on the other side of the Rift, TL is still pretty happy about the state of turrets.
Yeah, it goes from bad to worse for Impact. They need to stop killing him, though, because he's not going to be worth that much gold.
Don't over-index on it.
I mean, weirdly enough, I think this is one of the reasons the game feels a bit weird in some cases. Is once you've died once or twice, you're worth very little gold that decelerates quickly. The patch notes made it so your bounty decreases not quite as much as last patch, but I believe you still devalue very quickly. So the next kill on Impact is going to be like 170 gold. Had a thought.
Okay.
I wonder if Guardian Wukong is better, because it probably procs off your own clone.
It probably does, because the clones can eat ash arrows and stuff like that. So they generally count as champions for every other interaction.
something to think about.
Yeah, okay, when I go to sleep tonight and I'm just wondering whatever's going to lull me into dreamland, I will contemplate the meta applications of Guardian Wukong.
Like, Nico, maybe Shaco, and Wukong might be able to self-proc Guardian?
Okay, sure. Well, if I see Guardian Wukong in the future, I'll know that somebody found out that this has legs.
I might try it. If Impact cannot get banned for taking it in a pro match, then I'm definitely not getting banned for playing Guardian Wukong.
All right, fair enough.
He didn't take it intentionally, obviously.
Somewhere out there, Drew Levin's ears just perked up a little bit as we talk about bringing Guardian Wukong into ranked. All right, back into the game. We've got just about 20 minutes on the clock, which means Baron's going to be spawning here in 45 seconds. I don't really think either squad is at a point where they would want to try to rush that objective down, but the next Drake is spawning in less than 60 seconds here too, as Huhi walks up, goes for the Shattering Strike onto Quid, who's not really concerned about what Sentinels has to bring to bear against him. He's going to go ahead and take his recall. This will be Soul Point if Team Liquid grabs it, and going back to what you were talking about earlier, Sentinels looking good in week 2 with Dragon Control. Obviously, they have not been able to execute on that here in Game 1.
For sure, and then also a little bit bigger picture, how these teams have been playing. I've been looking at a lot of kill participation lately, and specifically look at Team Liquid on the left here. Jose and Quid have really high kill participations, which is true in this game as well. They're both at 80%. As Jose is looking for some damage. But specifically, YON and Morgan haven't been able to be as involved in the game. I'm imagining it's something they want to improve on, but again, this game is kind of that story. YON with 1 kill participation of 5 so far, and Jose and Quid both 4 out of 5.
And up there top lane, critically, you can see Morgan forcing out the World Ender from Impact. As soon as he sees the wings come out on the Aatrox, he immediately backs away, because that's all he needed to get. Because now they're going to be able to force this team fight around the Drake. Yes, even if you have teleports on both Morgan and Impact, Aatrox without World Ender does not have nearly the amount of threat and presence that Aatrox with that ultimate does. So Herald's going to be summoned up in mid lane by Rahel. It gets the charge into the tier 1, but they critically won't even get the full structure by the time Team Liquid is able to rotate over to defend after securing the Drake. Yeah,
nice TP there by Morgan to hold the turret. And I think that was correct by Sentinels to not contest that Drake. You're pretty much in last-ditch effort to salvage the game here, where on third Drake, you just try and trade Team Liquid's map investment for as much gold as possible. Ooh. Really cheeky play there by Morgan, but Impact is able to sidestep the ultimate and get some of that crystalline overgrowth off of the turret. But yeah, Sentinels just needs to get as close in gold as possible before the eventual soul fight to have a puncher's chance in this game.
All right, so top left is a doomsday clock for Sentinels right now, counting down from 4.5 minutes or so. They've got to be ready. They've got to be able to answer this. And despite the fact that we did get to see the one really good play out of the Weaver's Wall that got the kill on YON back in the mid lane a few minutes ago, I still feel like I haven't been seeing enough of the Pantheon Taliyah macro playmaking to really want these picks on your team, for this to be what you go with in the Game 1.
It's really unfortunate. I do feel like one of the reasons you could see the life leave Impact's eyes when they told him he didn't get to remake for this Guardian is because, like, this comp kind of needs to play through Aatrox. To me, mid laners like Twisted Fate, Galio, Taliyah just thrive when you have volatile topsides. Because they're already going to be trading, and it's the mid lane that actually gets to decide that matchup. But against an Eclipse, Grasp, Ambessa, and a Guardian Aatrox, even if you send a Taliyah or Pantheon up there, you might still be losing. So they don't have the way to play the game.
And now Jose immediately has his way to play the game, jumping in after Hambach with a counter engage coming out from Huhi and Rahel looking to target YON. Hambach is low, just about to die still. YON down to half HP. Impact makes his way into the fight, and YON is gone. Rahel's also out of the picture, and Team Liquid continues pressing forward. They've got themselves a 4v2. The fight is already won. It's just how much are they going to win? And it's a whole lot, chat. The only man left standing in a red jersey is Huhi, and here's our replay of how this started. It's Hambach trying to face check into the Tribe Rush.
Yeah, Team Liquid's going to be getting Baron during this replay. There's no way they can stop it. And again, it's Jose who actually pulls off the nice engage. I'd say YON does keep getting focused in these fights. He's probably not super thrilled, but everyone else on the team is able to capitalize on the team fight. This is one of those team comps where every lane, every player can carry, and Team Liquid easily cleaned this one up 4-for-1. Got a feel for Impact.
Yeah, it's tough, man, having the runes show up like that. Does the Guardian, observers, can we check how much damage the Guardian has actually managed to block this game? Because I'm going to assume it's procced twice.
I do want to check.
Once in each team fight, and that's it.
Oh, we got to get rid of the Baron power play. 441 damage.
Okay.
Decent.
All right, sure.
Yeah.
That tells me
That's
it's actually
probably 3
procced more
times.
than twice. Yeah, probably 3, maybe 4. Not 100% sure, but obviously not the same efficacy as something like a Conqueror or a Grasp of the Undying. It's now a 6,500 gold lead with the Dragon control for the side of Team Liquid. Like we mentioned earlier, the clock is ticking down. You've got to have the map in the best possible state before they go after the Dragon Soul.
Oh,
this is not a good map state. Morgan's diving into all 3 players here on Sentinels. The follow-up from Jose, Core, and LYON as they all pile in. Hambach's the first to die, and LYON unleashes the calling. He's dead second, and there's the pincer play coming out from Quid to cut off the remaining members of Sentinels as they try to run. We might not get a Dragon Soul. The game might end before we ever get there. Jose Diodo looking for impact here, who does manage to get enough distance to stay alive, but everybody else on Sentinels is down.
I don't think that's going to be the end of the game yet, just because the minion waves haven't arrived, but Team Liquid did a great job there playing fast. They kind of jumped ahead of the waves. So Sentinels was almost waiting to defend the turrets when the waves arrived, but Team Liquid was so fast in setting up that play, they killed everyone, and only now are the waves actually getting to the turret. So it makes for a very successful Baron power play, really makes this game pretty unwinnable for Sentinels, but we're going to have to wait until at least the next big team fight.
All right, Tier 2 in that bottom lane, crashing to the ground as we speak. The Tier 2 over in mid lane. Oh, it does survive. Look at that, just barely hanging on. The one in mid lane also about to die to the minions, so plenty of pressure in 2 different spots from those minions for Team Liquid. 10,500 gold lead.
It's huge.
Drake spawning at 25 seconds. As long as all 5 players on Team Liquid play the next fight with their eyes open, I don't think that it's losable.
Probably not. I will say, a really successful Baron power play this year, with Baron only giving half as many gold rewards as previous years. You do hear a lot of teams talking about how 1 Baron isn't often enough to end the game, because you just don't get the same lead that you would get last year from the Baron.
Jump.
But I mean, it's probably going to be 2 Barons in this game as well. It's only 3 minutes until the next one, but Team Liquid is in total control.
Yep, and there's your Chemtech Soul. Utterly uncontested by Sentinels. They know that they don't have a chance of fighting a 10,000 gold lead TL at a neutral objective, so instead they're just going to take... And this is another one of those handshakes where you feel really bad about it there with the top lane. You're handshaking Dragon Soul for a tier 1 turret with an objective bounty slapped onto it up in top lane. So it doesn't feel great. Gets the gold lead back down to 4... Nope, never mind. Back up to 5 digits here for Team Liquid, as Quid's going to make sure it builds even further. Secures the last hit on that bottom lane tier 2, and TL is keeping the pressure on.
They really are. Jose has had a great game on the Wukong.
100%.
Notwithstanding the top lane. The top lane has a bit to do with this game, and it did stop the way that Sentinels could really create action. But Team Liquid still did a great job themselves creating action through mid-bot in controlling these Drakes. If you wanted to really ego on them, Morgan takes Guardian in game 2.
Oh!
If you really want to ego on Impact,
diabolical.
I highly doubt it'll happen. But depending, like, if you're Impact right now, I think your best chance is trying to bait them into it. Say the only reason they won is because of the rune, that you would have won the matchup anyway, that he's, you know, not a big enough edge considering you didn't have a keystone. Make Morgan do it too, just to even the field.
I feel like if we are considering baiting the enemies into taking a rune that literally does nothing as part of our win con, our win cons have been severely compromised.
I just think you might be able to get him to do it. That's the thing. It's not a completely unrealistic ask. Oh, Quid might be getting caught.
Yeah, Q1 hits the sweet spot. Quid eats the full Aatrox combo, but he's still alive with 60% HP.
Yep.
The Nami wave roars in over the top.
This might be GG.
Just stops the follow-up. Morgan dives into everybody. Hambach's going to be the focus here for the very start of the fight. Already down. Jose just into the back line yet again. Going after Rahel. Jose Diodo very low, but he does get another Sundered Sky proc to keep him alive. Jose walks away from it, but Impact finally gets the kill. The Aatrox awarded with 1,000 gold shutdown, but it's only Darkwings and Impact still alive as LYON continues to get all those blessings from Core JJ. The bullets slow you down as he shoots you in the knees with him on the run. As Team Liquid continues their push towards the Nexus turrets, it is a 2v4. right now as Sentinels will scramble, but it ain't gonna matter. Dark Wings is already down. Impact will be the next to die as LYON and Morgan go forward. Double kill for the Lucian. And now as the minions arrive towards the Nexus turrets, that'll be all she wrote. 18-5. Team Liquid commanding their leads, particularly through Morgan, particularly through the plays of Jose Diodo throughout this game. Hambach's gonna die again. Team Liquid just wants to pad the stats a little bit. He retreats back into the fountain, and TL takes game 1.
A little bit of KDA maxing at the end of that game. 19 kills to 5. Dragon Soul secured. And the Lounger,
you're going to be in a really bad spot, but it's obviously way better to just take the win, be one of the 2-1 teams, know you're playing in brackets next week.
Yeah, so when you play 3 rounds of Swiss with 8 teams, you're going to have one 3-0 team. They're going to be our #1 seed.
Yep.
I blanked a little bit because I should know all of it. You're then going to have 3 2-1 teams.
Yep.
They're going to be in bracket stage as well.
No matter
what. You're going to have 3 1-2 teams. The best team of those 3, based on the tiebreaker rules, will also go through automatically. The other 1 and 2 teams will be playing a best-of-1 tiebreaker at the end of show tomorrow.
Exactly.
To decide who goes and who goes home. And then obviously the 0-3 team is out.
Yeah, tomorrow we've got a really exciting schedule because it's the 0-2 teams playing in the elimination match for 0-3. Yeah. It's the 2-0 teams playing in the 3-0 match for who gets to be the first seed, like who's the best team in Swiss. And then it's the BO1 to determine the secondary elimination. So a lot of stuff on the line tomorrow, but we've got to finish our festivities here today to see how that's going to shake out. So getting into the second game here, Sentinels have elected for first pick, and Team Liquid has chosen the blue side. TL banning out Cassante, Nocturne, and Rumble, so 2 out of 3 of their bans being spent on their former teammate there in the top lane. Meanwhile, Sentinels will ban away Akali, Aurora, and Gwen. A lot of AP solo lane threat here taken out, as let's see what Sentinels wants to go with for the first pick, the Azir being up. I just feel like this champion is mid lane. He kind of fits into the same bucket for me as like Orianna, where he can just fit into any comp and it'll have presence and pressure.
Speaking of Orianna, I think it's going to be one of Team Liquid's picks in the next 3. Depends how much they want to style, though. This could also be a Quid Yone angle, so I'm not sure what they're going to do in 1-2. But when you leave Azir Orianna up, you're probably picking one of the 2. It's a little bit interesting because Team Liquid banned the Nocturne, so the Knock Wave combo is going to be nerfed. But Morgan, when Renekton is up, picks Renekton a lot of the time. It's his best champion. He's got it again.
Yeah, the Renekton's locked in here with the Cassante already banned away during this first phase as well, because I feel like that's another one of those things where it's just very easy to see Cassante Renekton be the top lane matchup once one of them is chosen. So without that response available, we'll see what Impact wants to have here as Jarvan is selected here for the jungle for Team Liquid.
I really like it. I'd mentioned how most teams have been banning Jarvan against Hambach with the first pick priority on Azir. Even if Team Liquid wants to answer with Orianna, they don't have to do it immediately. So instead, they just power pick their top laner for Morgan with Renekton, and then give Jose Jarvan, which could also be a good combo with Orianna if that's what Quid wants to do next.
Okay, and we're going to see Sentinels lock in the Scion for top lane there for Impact as well. I know that this is a champ that Impact has plenty of experience on. I love seeing Impact be on champions, not just that can have a big presence in the team fight, but can also move around the map more easily, because Impact is not a selfish player. You hear Azael talk about this all the time. He's not the guy who wants to sit in his side lane and take plates and be the split pusher hero. He's the guy who wants to join up with fights, translate his advantage elsewhere, and having an ultimate like Scion lets you do that more frequently and more effectively. Third pick of the draft here for Sentinels is the Nico.
And if Impact does well in lane, he can also start not having threat on him from the Renekton, but it'll be a really interesting early game with Morgan playing, I imagine, a very aggressive Renekton to try and get push and first move the entire game. I think that's what we're going to see if Team Liquid can pull off, Morgan just constantly having lane prio, because I've heard that he's an incredibly good laner in scrims, and I'm also going to say I doubt we're seeing Guardian Renekton in this game. Like, as fun as it would be to beat him with Guardian in the second game, I think it would actually be unplayable to have Guardian Renekton against the Scion.
You'll just never have any chance to kill him ever for any reason, right? Yeah. Like, it's just not going to work out. We also get exactly what you were predicting here for Team Liquid on pick number 3 with the Orianna. It's just exactly as you said. You know it's not going to get stolen away, because it's not like Sentinels can do anything useful with it after they already have Azir. So TL will be happy to just take that one before the second half of the bans start coming in. And with those bans surfacing, Yunara is going to be the first one banned out by TL. Remember, the 80 carry bans in the second half of this one are a bit of a double-edged sword, hard because you still have the AD carry left to be selected for both teams. Sentinel's going to ban supports instead, looking at CoreJJ's Bard.
I like it with Sentinels at least trying to pick a lane that they're going to play through. It's hard to guarantee any prio in Azir versus Orianna. They're not going to have prio in top lane with Sion versus Renekton. But if they pick Neeko early and then ban out the other supports that often match Neeko, like Bard and potentially even Alistar, then they would put Team Liquid in hopefully a disadvantageous spot with support.
And like you said at the end of last game, bright point for Sentinels in a game number 1 that didn't have a lot of them. Hambach's pressure for the first blood in the bottom lane. Clearly they want to try to play through bot. They want to try to help these guys. Xin Zhao banned out here by Team Liquid. That was one that we saw Hambach hover in draft both last game and in this game, I believe. So with that one taken off the table, that is going to reduce some of your early pressure. And there's the Nautilus ban from Sentinels.
So CoreJJ down 1 engage support, but so Alistar doesn't necessarily beat Neeko, but I see a lot of people play Alistar into Neeko because it won't get bursted later and it can also face check a lot of bushes. We'll see what Team Liquid decide to go with though, because they don't necessarily need to draft for team composition. It seems like Core and LYON are just really confident with any laning combo they go for. LYON loves to do a lot of different hovers. I feel like there's so many different directions they can go here. Potentially Ezreal's a little dangerous because they are against a Sion, and Orianna Ezreal doesn't have a huge amount of sustained damage, but it does give them really good range, and it's good into Neeko.
Well, let's see how Sentinels wants to respond here. I need not just the AD carry, but the jungler right next to it. You know you're going up against Jose Diodo on the Jarvan. You know he's going to be looking for some playmaking on that one. You know he's going to be already kind of locked in from the performance last game with all those great engages on the Wukong. Jarvan going to have a similar threat in this one, so I want to see what Hambach can respond with. We are going to get the Kai'Sa here for the Sentinel side. So you've got Neeko, Kai'Sa, Azir. Like, even your carries are happy to jump into the fights for things like the Emperor's Divide, use the Killer Instinct. This feels very aggressive from Sentinels.
Yeah, I feel like last game, they didn't feel like they could do much, so they're stacking engage tools here, and a late pick Vi as well, so this is a Kai'Sa comp. If the Kai'Sa can get going, then Rahel would be in for a very strong game, but that's what Team Liquid's going to try and stop from happening, just picking really strong lanes, right? Yep. I feel like that's been the name of the game for a lot of these Team Liquid drafts early in the season. They pick for matchup, and they try and blow the other team out.
And Karma Ezreal, this is a classic bullet hell bottom lane to have to match up into. As long as they're landing Mystic shots and Inner Flames, your health bar is constantly going to be taxed, constantly under pressure for a shorter range marksman like Kai'Sa who wants to get in, fire the Acathian range, scrap up close. Once you're low on health, that becomes seriously dangerous, seriously quick. So we'll see how well LYON and Core can dial in that accuracy.
And this is really interesting early season draft trends I'm seeing from Team Liquid with CoreJJ this series so far playing Nami and Karma. And he's played a lot of Nami and a lot of range supports because historically, Team Liquid has struggled when CoreJJ isn't on a hard engaged champion because a lot of times they become reliant on his ability to find fights. But this speaks to the trust that they have in Jose Diodo, who played great last game on Wukong, is primary engage once again on the Jarvan, and if they can continue to make this work with Jose actually being the one to primarily engage, it changes the dynamic of playing against Team Liquid.
And I do want to bring up, because I feel like we always have to add this asterisk onto these conversations, because we've had this combo about CoreJJ a lot of times in the past. It's not that Core is bad at Enchanters, not by any means.
Correct.
Remember that when CoreJJ became a world champion 2017, that was Ardent Sensor meta, which is like the strongest that Enchanters have ever been in the history of God. Yeah. Like, that was the Enchanter meta, right? And so CoreJJ is not bad at Enchanters. It just feels like traditionally, he's the one, like you mentioned last game when we heard the comms from TL, even if things are getting hectic, he's a very loud voice, he's a powerful voice, he's not afraid to speak up. So when you have your big engager on someone who's also a shot caller and a communicator, it feels more likely that you'll have success as a team in those moments. But having a backup, like you're saying, with Jose Diodo, having somebody else you can trust to do that, that's just nothing but an extra tool in your kit.
For sure, and especially with the way that it looks like LYON and Core want to play, where they're just trying to dominate every single laning phase, that's going to be range supports. Yeah. Just almost every single time. So as long as this works for Team Liquid, it makes them an exciting team to watch as well. We do have a slight delay. LYON is saying he has an audio issue, no sounds again. Jose's joking. Maybe joking about having first strike Jarvan.
Because Impact said rune question mark when it got paused.
I know. Maybe he does have first strike Jarvan. When they told me about a delay, I was really hoping it's another rune bug. Like, Morgan has Guardian. It would have been my dream. But it's not happening that way. I mean, first strike Jarvan wouldn't be bad. I see a lot of solo queue junglers.
It would be better than Guardian Aatrox.
Yeah. Everything is better than Guardian Aatrox. Guardian Jarvan is better than Guardian Aatrox.
Yeah, Guardian Jarvan, because he's at least going to be playing like jungle, or even on his off-roll, sometimes people play Jarvan support.
Yeah.
Like, you're at least next to other champions.
Absolutely. Jose is making me wonder if this is like some hidden tech in solo queue. I'm pretty sure he's going to be Conqueror Jarvan, but is first strike Jarvan even a thing? I'm just double checking. It is actually. It's got about 500 games and it's got a sneaky high win rate. So maybe, you know, if you wanted to go Profane Hydra Guardian Jarvan, that's another thing. I think that's going to beat out Guardian Wukong in terms of the joke builds that we've had so far today.
Okay.
I feel like first strike Jarvan could actually be good.
Well, I still wonder if we will actually get it. Hopefully we can resolve whatever audio issues or first strike Jarvan issues these are as quickly as possible. Get ourselves into game here. I do want to see if Sentinels can be better about enabling their bottom lane this game.
For sure.
I want to see more activity. I loved what we got with the first blood from Hambach last game, but again, I criticized this a couple of times. I'm going to levy that criticism again because I think it's important. Pantheon and TLAW, I just didn't see enough one-punch, two-punch, follow-up ultis making plays with these guys.
For sure, especially with how quickly people redeploy on the map and how many plays can happen outside of big objective fights. You wanted to see more from the TLAW Pantheon. As we're going through this pause, I have a bit of a bigger picture topic.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
I feel like this season, pro play is closer to solo queue, and this isn't necessarily a good or a bad thing.
Okay.
It's closer to solo queue than in past years. Like how similar the game looks, but more specifically, like which skills transfer from solo queue to pro, I think is more true this year than in past years.
Well, I think a lot of that probably has to do around the quest system, right? Because lane swaps are now just completely out the window. Because that was one of the big disruptors I always felt about the differentiation between solo queue and pro is you're not getting lane swaps, right? So that changes the picks because now you can pick these I do nothing except sit there on the ground and cry until 10 minutes 80 carries that normally can't play bottom lane in pro. Okay, well now they're laning against the Sion 2v1, they're fine, right? Now you're gonna have to pick the stuff that can still deal with being pressured in lane just like you would in solo queue.
Exactly. Right now, the biggest difference to me from pro to solo queue is just the incredible teamwork around Drakes and how infrequently we see top laners just absolutely take over the game. I think that could change, but like another thing I'm noticing is a lot of these rookie junglers across the league. So Griffin here, I'm going to mess up his name, like Rylik or something in the LEC, that are able to play the more damage-heavy carry junglers. Maybe Cryer will be like this as well. Like the junglers that are playing Ambessa, Aatrox, Volibear, these like high-farm solo queue carry junglers, that's just more workable in pro now because they're not having to like completely sacrifice their jungle pathing to deal with lane swaps. And I just feel like that might end up being rewarded more as we progress into this year. As we're getting into game, I feel like the rest of this topic will be reserved for a podcast. But he's trolling us. It's Conqueror Jarvan.
Yeah, he's just messing, man.
First strike Jarvan actually seems legit, by the way.
It doesn't seem as legit as Conqueror Jarvan. I'm just going to go on record saying that.
Yeah, I'm going to try it.
Okay, are they playing it in jungle or are they playing it as a support cheese?
Jungle. Jungle, 54% win rate, 800 games. Compared to 52% win rate in 350,000 games, sample size notwithstanding,
if you ignore
it seems
the word
fine.
1,000 and only compare the hundreds of games part,
it's only 350 times more likely to be brought.
Yeah, it's only a multiple of 1,000 times as many games. I don't see the issue here.
Might be good.
Okay,
It's the same as First Strike Jace, right? You're just trying to farm gold, and you burst hard.
Yeah, Accelerated Shock Blast is the same thing as Flag.
And drag. Don't forget the second part of the combo.
True. All right, well, since Jose Dioto will not be enlightening us with any of these new age Jarvan builds today, he will be on the standard stuff, starting on the top side of the map, and you'll see in the mirror there, Hambach doing the same thing, as right now, LYON and Core are doing exactly what I kind of expected them to do on this Ezreal Karma duo. You use your range, you use your pressure early, and you just make these guys constantly sweat versus the projectile volley.
I mean, I want to see if they do exactly what they did last game, though, because last game, they pushed up really hard, they used their wards in lane to control the bush, and then they got almost cheese ganked by Hambach, which gave Hambach a kill and didn't really hurt their lane. So I feel like they're saying that was actually completely fine. We don't care if you gank us and get a kill, because they're not warding currently. Core does have a trinket. He may go and use it soon, because this would be the timing that Hambach would do a gank if he goes early. But for the most part, this is what we saw from draft. Team Liquid said they're just going to try and push every wave, and you just have to pick the lane that you decide to gank.
Okay, let's see what they've got. I mean, LYON is Ezreal. You've got Flash built into the kit. Core JJ on Karma also has his tether and his shield for the extra evasiveness. Aggressive tether here, and he absorbs a lot of the damage there for Rahel, but absorbing it means it's still landing on somebody, and this Kai'Sa and Nico are struggling to find legs to stand on. Here in the bottom lane, 2v2, you could see the clone walked into the brush there, and it did see the Jarvan moving through the bottom side river of Jose Dioto, so as long as they were paying attention, they got that brief flash of vision there. Hambach is going to take the top side crab, because he knows bottom side crab is not contestable when your bottom lane is trapped underneath this turret.
But look at what they're doing now. Jose, instead of recalling, is just helping to zone Rahel and Huhi off that wave. Really good ward, though, that is going to be able to interrupt this recall if they want. Core blocks it for him.
Perfect.
See, I love it when the support gives back to the jungler, because that could have completely ruined his tempo as he was helping the bot lane with that move, but Core managed to save it with the nice block on the Kai'Sa W. Now he's right back for his Grand Prix spawn. Great first 3.5 minutes by Team Liquid.
Yeah, you love to see it. We mentioned how last game the plate count was very low overall for both teams, but we've already got the first plate taken now by Team Liquid in the bottom lane, forcing their opponents back away from that massive wave like you mentioned, as now LYON does have to wait for Core to get back into the lane, so will not be able to exert the same amount of pressure that he had earlier. Hambach still not able to really find a lot of anything just yet. Obviously, Jose Dioto hasn't ganked, but I still feel like, you know, that's one of the differences that I still feel you're going to see a lot more of in pro compared to solo queue is the junglers successfully being able to have a large impact on lanes that they don't truly gank, as Rahel and Huhi, again, just constantly on the receiving end of these trades.
Yeah, Core and LYON are landing all their skill shots. The way Core weaved that Karma Q around the clone directly into Huhi, making them reset again as the wave was actually temporarily frozen. So they're going to deny a lot of golden experience, who Core almost gets a recall as well. Jose's likely going to look for a Gromp invade here. They've already pre-warded it. They have the wave. They're going to slow push it and try and crash it at the turret as the Kai'Sa is running back to base. So maybe they're going to pull off of it.
So one thing worth noting here, you can see the cooldown on Core JJ's mantra for the R. It was still on cooldown when Rahel was recalling on the Kai'Sa. I believe if you have the mantra ready, you can shoot the Q early enough to interrupt the Kai'Sa recall there. Darkwing's at 50 HP. Quid putting the pressure on in the mid lane, making sure that it's not just LYON and Core JJ running their lane matchup in this early game. And now 5 minutes on the clock, Jose Dioto feels empowered to just go for a solo dragon. Up in the top lane, Morgan is proxy farming against Impact, who goes for the ulti to stun him up here near the wall. Morgan about to die. It's first blood. Impact gets a solo kill when he has the right runes. Morgan might have overplayed his hand just a little bit here, trying to keep up with his mid and bot lane dominance, but that dominance does continue as Jose secures the first Drake of the game for TL, who he's got to be careful about getting any closer right here. He's already down to half HP. Hambach hanging around nearby, but it does not matter because Team Liquid still maintains control over the neutrals. They will still secure the Drake and the crab.
Flowers, Team Liquid is playing so unbelievably aggressive right now.
Oh, yeah.
They are kind of pseudo turret diving all three lanes at once. I imagine Morgan probably took a turret shot or two, but the crazy thing is, after getting solo killed with first blood bonus gold,
he's still ahead.
He's still ahead. That's how much he was pushing the tempo in that lane. Knew the jungler was bottom, tried to proxy, messed it up. Potentially that could really hurt because now, like, what are you really going to do against a Bramble Vest, Chain Vest Scion? I think he's really going to have a hard time getting an advantage now. But yeah, let's watch this. I mean, Impact just... Morgan, what are you doing, bro? Yeah, he doesn't even take a turret shot, but I think getting hit by that Q...
It was a full decimating smash.
And then the second Q. It doesn't matter if you get the empowered Q on the minions. Yeah, getting hit by 2 full charge Qs, not ideal.
Eternal swagger from Impact.
Yeah.
He's back where he belongs. He's got his runes. He's ready to go.
Hey!
Solo kills. I said last game I was going to be really impressed if it went from a 2 to a 3 with the Guardian activated. That didn't happen, but here in game 2, he does solo kill Morgan's Renekton with the Scion, so he goes up to 3.
And they won Split 1 last year, so they played a lot of games. This is only game number 6 or 7 for Impact, because they played 3 games in the first week. So, hey, still got it. He's going to be really hard for Renekton to do anything against him now that he's built those brick items.
And that's also something that I think if you're Team Liquid, remember that last year felt like for so much of the year, the story was FlyQuest are the protagonist of the LCS, right?
Yeah.
But on the path to first stand, it was TL, like you said, who represented us there. They went over and they placed 5th of 5, right?
Yes.
It was, again, not the performance that Team Liquid, an organization that builds to win trophies, that wants to be a competitor, would be happy with. So I think you've got all the more motivation to try to get back to first stand and say, no, that's not what Team Liquid is made of. We can put up a better performance than that.
We got Hambach snuck through vision, is behind Core and Yon. I just wonder if Huhi and Rahel have enough health to follow up. So Rahel will have ult. Hambach will look to see who he engages on. All summoners there for Team Liquid. This has got to be clean.
Huhi has a minion. They got to count the minions on the Team Liquid side. Flash away from Core JJ, who he already tried to use the Tangle Barbs, and they're going to send their attention over to Yon. Nice use of the Vault Breaker to cut off the escape. Combined with the Flash, they knock Yon down. Sentinels gets a kill bottom side.
And great job getting the kill onto the carry as well, because now they get to deny him this entire wave. It lowers the threat. It allows Rahel to get that plate. Actually gives him an advantage in gold in this game, which is crazy considering it feels like he's just been fighting for his life this entire time. Not to mention, he's gone Cull. Yon hasn't, so he's going to have that cash in 43 more CS. So Sentinels, despite getting really blitzed by Team Liquid's early lane pressure, is set up completely fine as we approach the mid game.
And, you know, we've talked about the top lane because there was a kill there. We just talked about the bottom lane because of the pressure and the kill down there. But back over in mid, that's quietly the biggest individual gold lead so far in this game. Quid nearly getting the solo on Darkwings earlier, not quite having enough damage to make it happen. Now Core JJ tries to go in to put the pressure onto Darkwings, but the Emperor's Divide is ready. Darkwings sees the opportunity to instantly turn the play around with his bot lane roaming up. And for Sentinels, that's an easy alley-oop into a 3rd kill, and they'll tie this gold lead up.
Core JJ not respecting when he's a flashless Karma, and also generally not respecting how decisive Darkwings could be. Having Huhi there and having the Vi around gave Darkwings the confidence, but I still do have to credit him. Like, when you're in this situation, as he has been in this game, where he's been fighting for his life against the Orianna the entire time under his turret, to immediately just shift in, ult back as soon as you see the moment, just speaks to, you know, him not tilting and having really good presence of mind.
All right, Yon back in the bottom lane now as they want to try to keep this wave, this lane pressure on. There's only 25 seconds left until the next Drake is live. Since Team Liquid have controlled the bottom lane the entire time, it's been very easy for Jose Diodo to control the Dragon Pit. One kind of just leads into the other, and you can see Jose already down around this part of the map, does believe he has enough time to go ahead and grab the Krugs, so not worried about just being in the pit as soon as the thing spawns. But you can see Hambach also pathing, towards the area.
So, Team Liquid is really not that far ahead considering how much they've drafted and played around their lanes. You can see big CS advantages all throughout, you know, 116 to 88 in top lane, 111 to 98 in mid, 103 to 90 in bot lane. But because Sentinels have been able to fight back and get 3 kills, we're within 500 gold. So I think the Drake fights are going to be really explosive here if Sentinels can continue to punish this flashless Karma, as Jose wants to move into the river, knows there's no vision, but you can see, you know, everyone reset on Sentinels to be in position pretty soon.
Okay, Jose is going to go ahead, start up the Drake here. Junglers both have their Sundered Skies completed. Top laners both have their teleports ready to join the fight if they need to. Stridebreaker is done for Morgan, but because Sion has to build a garage sale of defense, he does not have a first item power spike. Team Liquid, DPS slow onto the Dragon. Got it down below 3,000. Morgan wrapping around from behind, going in for the Pinstrom attack. Who he wants the Pop Blossom, he finds it onto 2. Hambach ready to follow up. Rahel needs more damage if they want to try to kill Jose Dioto, but Who he's already gone. CoreJJ under pressure, but Team Liquid is finding so many kills. Quid knocks down Hambach. Morgan is ready and waiting with an open maw for impact here in the bottom lane. The Mystic shot can barely not catch up to the Sion, but it's CoreJJ traded for 3 players on the Sentinels side. Team Liquid, just like last game, chat, once you have both teams handshake for a duel, for a fight here at the Dragon, it's Team Liquid who have the faster hands.
Wow from Jan and Jose. I also said wow, so I'm wondering what they're wowing here. For me, it was that I couldn't follow the fight very well because it was too fast, but I wonder what happened there, because they kind of just blew the game open once again. You can see they're very relaxed in this game, also hitting their first mythics across the board. So let's watch this. So they get the Drake as well as win the fight, but let's see where Jarvan Orianna went. You can see Morgan's here early. Who he goes in, Jan and Quid completely avoid it. And then, I mean, Jose gets the smite steal. Morgan just jumps in and one-shots the Karma. Just a really well-played fight here.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm on the Team Liquid side, that's about how I feel about that team fight too. Also just worked out so well that Jan's True Shot Barrage firing through the middle of everybody was also enough to kill off Huhi's Nico for the last hit, so you even get more money on your AD carry. Trinity Force done for him now. Tier stacking up even further. Rahel is about to get that cash in on the call that you mentioned earlier that's going to equalize most of that gold lead for Jan, but that's the gold lead of 1 of the 5 roles, and honestly, everybody that's not support has a meaningful gold lead 13 minutes into the game.
Team Liquid's looking pretty strong these last 2 weeks. They're set against Shopify as well as the 2 games here. And this isn't even a game that's gone well for Team Liquid. This is always a debate you'll have in scrims. So to me, this is a little bit like a scrim draft for me with the way they're playing, where they have 3 winning lanes. Funny thing about league teams is actually there's going to be a fight in River, so I'll save this point for later.
Well, now hold on. We also might just have them look like they're going to fight.
This is frequent. Hambach is looking though. He's in a crouching stance.
I think that Dragon might want to stay hidden, my friend.
I believe so, unless he
nope.
goes back to base.
Go home. Okay, we're good. What were you going to bring up?
So, if you're a team that has 3 losing lanes, you always say afterwards, if you lose the game, Morgan might be dead.
Yeah. Okay. Impact goes in. Stops him from being able to get away. Morgan does pop the Dominus, slices out of the way of the decimating smash. He wanted to try to heal up with the call to Miko the minions, but nope, not going to happen. Rahel bursts him down in time.
No,
so
game's too fast.
Morgan.
They want to keep diving.
Okay, True Shot Barrage. Trying to make some space. Hambach gets all the way back. He knows if Jan's positioning like this, they've probably got the squad nearby to try to make something even worse happen. Yeah, Huhi's going to walk right through the Hex Gate. Immediately eats a Dragon Strike plus Mantra Inner Flame combo to lose 30-40% of his HP, something around there. Darkwing's ready to join up though.
This is a really weird game with how fast it is and how close the goal still is, despite it looking like Team Liquid has just been running the whole server. I mean, Rahel's going to get fed off this bot turret. His call cashed in. He got the kill. He's also going to be not first turret gold, but still solo turret gold, so he's pulling ahead of Jan. I ran into Spooks before the game talking about tempo, and he said any scrim where Hex Gates are up end up being this like 80 kill game, because not only do you have home guards, you also have the Hex Gates, so people are just on the map that you are unable to track, and you just end up skirmishing a lot, which is kind of what this game might devolve into, as they're going to fight over this Rift Herald as well.
Yeah, the Herald's down to 5,000 HP. It's Team Liquid with control over the river, but Sentinels are ready to challenge that. Impact wants to be the front line here for the team. Does not have the ulti ready to go. Hambach goes in for the play onto Quid, but he flashes away from the pop. Rahel into the back line here with the Killer Instinct. Finishes the the job, and the Team Liquid mid laner is down. However, they do accomplish what they came for. They get themselves the Herald. They should be able to pick up that eye. Hosodiodo does secure it. So Quid traded for the Herald here on the top side.
This is a Rahel carry angle. 1,500 gold on the Kai'Sa, and everyone in the team comp sets up the Kai'Sa. Not to mention, not really tanky backliners are good ways of peeling the Kai'Sa in team fights. So Sentinels absolutely in this game, incredible ways of just being scrappy to get gold onto Rahel, and now actually have a decent chance to win this game, in my opinion, as Darkwings, with impact, just poking, decides not to do more. Did have the Azir ultimate, didn't flip him back because Drake is up, so Team Liquid probably going to get soul point here, you would imagine.
Yeah, considering, okay, the Azir's just now making his recall, but he does have teleport to try to join up with the rest of Sentinels. Quid putting the pressure onto the tier 1 here in the bottom lane, has a big wave crashing into that one. Darkwings has already arrived. Hosodiodo going in. Hambach going to be the target, but there's no damage here to follow it up just yet. Quid's now going to be in massive danger. Goes golden, but he'll die as soon as he gets out of that statue form. They kill Rahel in trade, though. There's that Kai'Sa. There's that win condition you were talking about out of the picture now as Hambach is down to 50 HP. Team Liquid trying to get out of the enemy jungle now as both top laners have arrived for the fight. Morgan trying to make sure that his team can get control over this Scuttle Crab now, as you're going to see Hosodiodo summon up the Rift Herald over in mid lane, then go ahead and take his recall, look for the reset. Herald secures the tier 1 turret. And ultimately, we just have a couple of kills traded here, but critically one of those is Rahel, that very powerful Kai'Sa on the Sentinel side.
Also power spike there from Darkwings with his Gnasher's Tooth, making play after play. 2-0-2 now. Does a nice little tempo gank in the top lane to then teleporting bot lane to get the scoop onto Quid. Now turning towards this Drake, which isn't necessarily free. Team Liquid decide to give it away. And soul point denied by Sentinels as they look to make a play bottom now.
I feel like that is huge for Sentinels, denying that soul point there as Morgan flashes away from the Pop Blossom, but the Tangle Barbs still lock him up, and Sentinels should have enough damage here. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Morgan gets away with 100 HP on the Renekton.
Lord Morgan, but yes, absolutely anyone's game, and Sentinels has got to be so happy with how this goes. I think I have a quick window to get my point across. In games, when you have 3 losing lanes, the team is going to say it feels like it's unplayable, which it does if you lose. But I'll also say on the other side, when you have 3 winning lanes, it's kind of hard to win because you end up being too exposed. If you're pushing all 3 lanes at once, you can never really protect all 3 lanes at once, so you're always vulnerable to things like Vi ganks, and I feel like that's what's happened here. Team Liquid tried to crush all 3 lanes, and they made these little mistakes along the way where Core dies, and then Morgan dies while proxying, and then Quid dies to a gank, and suddenly you're in this mid-game state where it's even again.
1 HP. It was unironically 1 HP at the lowest. He lived with 1. That is crazy work that he gets away like that. And you can see the whole roller coaster of emotions there on Golden Glue's face as he thought, yeah, we have the pick here. This is great. Good job, guys. And then the Renekton just barely walks away from it. Sentinels now looking to put on some pressure of their own. They've got Darkwings back up here in this top lane looking for the tier 1 turret that he was seeking after earlier. This time should be able to find it considering he has teammates in the neighborhood. As Morgan will take the chance to now trade for the tier 2 in the bottom lane. Team Liquid do have more turrets overall this game. They have had more control over more of the map for more of the game. Darkwings wants to try to let this turret eat as many minions as it can before it falls down. And it looks like right as we're about at the end here, there we go. Tag it, take it away. Team Liquid still with about a 1,000 gold lead, but since the game is this close, I think stopping that soul stack matters that much more because now one bad fight doesn't mean they get the soul and all of a sudden the gold lead doesn't matter because the soul is such an impactful buff, right?
This gives so much time for the Azir and the Kai'Sa to keep scaling as well. Right now is Morgan's time though. He completed the 2nd full item on his Renekton. This was one of the points that Spawn was actually bringing up with Morgan in their VOD review. When he's this strong of a Renekton, like, stop doing cardio running back and forth between lanes and, like, go find fights. So right now, it's really hard to do much to this Scion. So I imagine after he pushes this lane, Morgan might go click on Baron and try and make something happen in River here.
Speaking of Baron, we do have that topside Scuttle Crab secured just now for Sentinels, thanks to Hambach and Darkwings, so they'll have some vision control over the area. Team Liquid going to step up and try to fight back for some of that themselves. 3 turrets to 2 turrets, considering it was not a full Tier 1 for Tier 2 trade across the map when Darkwings took that Tier 1, and you were seeing Morgan try to respond in the bottom lane against the Sentinels Tier 2. CoreJJ placing some control wards in the Baron pit right now. Team Liquid gold lead staying exactly where it has been. Darkwings now with an individual gold lead alongside Rahel. Jet, if I'm playing this composition with Sion and Vi in top lane and jungle, and it's my Azir and Kai'Sa that have the gold leads, I could not be happier. Yeah,
They're they're chilling at this point. Impact completely neutralizing Morgan. Morgan on a ward as well with a potential Nico gank, which wouldn't have done much. Now recalling on a control ward. Interesting choice.
Okay, is this
very interesting?
No, okay.
Was he was just outside the bush. He didn't see it.
Oh, that is actually a big problem potentially as Impact storms in right over top of his bottom lane combo and they take Morgan out.
Ah, he wasn't inside the bush when he was recalling. I thought it was super strange that he'd be on a control ward. It's also weird that he didn't step in the bush. Just a misclick, I'd imagine, on that recall, but with that big of a lead, not being able to make anything happen and actually being the one that gets picked really hurts Team Liquid's momentum.
It's not a Guardian Aatrox, but it's a very impactful mistake that could have some serious ramifications. Impact now has all the pressure in the world here in the bottom lane. He's made his way onto the Tier 2 turret. The wave is crashing into that one. Sentinels is looking to secure even more gold for their side. Yeah, you got that cannon minion alive, but look at this massive minion wave that's now going to be eaten up by Quid, who does need to use his TP to go answer Impact down here.
Sentinels might win this game. Rahel just keeps getting gold. 5 kills now. Looks like Dusk and Dawn is on the way. Kai'Sa has a new build every single patch. You do so much damage.
She's one of those types of champs.
You have so much damage with Dusk and Dawn, like pseudo AP attack speed Kai'Sa. No way to build resists against it. You proc your passive constantly, have great poke. So he's going to be very strong. And there's not great ways for Team Liquid to actually get on top of Kai'Sa. With next Drake coming up in a fight, surely going to happen around it.
Yeah, people think about, ooh, hold on now. Impact going into the middle of everybody as Morgan tries to do the same and immediately rethinks that decision. So, yeah. All right, both top laners throw themselves into a 1v4. Sion's pretty much always going to outperform in that situation.
Getting value out of the TP shield. They just really wanted to make sure they were maxing it.
All right, Sentinels starting up the Drake. Keep your eyes on Rahel, on that Kai'Sa. Impact still full HP here with the Sion as well, who he goes in for the Pop Blossom. Finds it, but it's only on to Hosdiodo as the Shockwave counterattack seals the fate of Huhi. One dead on either side, but considering it's the jungler for TL, it means Sentinel secures the Drake. Easy peasy. Morgan dies now too, and Sentinels are not done yet. Quid tries to get away from the Sion, but Impact is cutting off the escape route for CoreJJ and Quid. He has to back away now as LYON finds some DPS opportunity to open up here a little bit, but Sentinels, Jat, now commanding a 1,000 gold lead and a tied Drake game.
Perfect fight for them. Both kills went to the Kai'Sa. They killed enemy jungler. Hambach secured the smite. This is their style of game. Double Hextech Drake now. Watching it one more time. He sacrifices his life. They get LYON out of the fight. They burst a bunch of damage onto Jose so that when Jose tries to go back in, they can kill him. And then just nice discipline here. Everyone turning for Morgan, who was already in the pit, and no one on Team Liquid could get through this Sion.
Good mid-game from Sentinels here so far, defending, fighting their way back into this game. There's that Dusk and Dawn that you were talking about. And what I was going to say before we got the last fight is you feel like Kai'Sa with the AP evolution, you always think of the value of the poke. You think of like the ARAM style of Kai'Sa with Void Seeker. It's also just a super low cooldown, so you're always getting those Dusk and Dawn procs off of the Sheen like you're talking about. So let's see, Team Liquid, how do you stabilize now that Sentinels are the ones putting on the pressure?
I think it's hard. They don't have great disengage. They're trying to take space with Karma, but CoreJJ is incredibly squishy. I mean, look at that. Impact not really taking damage, and Morgan not yet level 16, only 500 gold ahead of Impact. Waiting for Huhi to try and find another engage. He's really been the one that starts things.
Yeah, Morgan's Renekton 1-4-0 in this game. Honestly, just not a very good look from him on this champion. We're going to need to see a lot more out of the Crocodile if Team Liquid wants to be able to turn things back in their favor. 3 minutes until the next Drake spawns, so everybody's eyes are here in the top side of the Rift, focusing around the Baron, focusing on the Vision War, as right now it's Team Liquid with control over the river itself, but because there's the Scuttle Crab vision for Sentinels, it's not like Team Liquid can fully force them out.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a matter of a little bit of farming until the next Drake. It's still a little bit early to really hard force the Baron unless they do get a nice pick.
Oh, that is huge. Hambach! That is a potentially game-losing mistake for the jungler to be caught in a position like that. As Darkwings retreats back up here to the top side. But now, jungler dead, no Emperor's Divide, 4v5 for Sentinels.
I think Sentinels look for a fight here. I mean, Darkwings had to burn ultimate already as a disengage, but Impact can still ult in to create space.
Okay, there's no ulti on Morgan, there's no ulti on Quid. Sentinels stepping
Gio's gotta
up.
keep hitting Baron so they can smite it.
Yep, Impact's your front line here. Team Liquid still DPSing the Baron. No smite on the enemy team to try to steal it away. Baron secured. Hambach's greedy recall is the deadliest of sins. And for all the work that Sentinels have done fighting their way back into this game, Team Liquid has once again taken control.
I mean, I'm impressed with Team Liquid's gambit there to invade like that, thinking that Sentinels was all going to be resetting, because with how squishy they are, like, I'm trying to figure out how they took this space. So LYON has the control ward already. It's just really good vision overall by Team Liquid to have that control ward there, and Hambach would have needed to recall next to Impact. Should have done it in Fog. Since they've just been pushed out of that space, I do think that's just a mistake by Hambach.
Especially since you know we didn't clear the control ward they had in the bush.
Exactly.
You know the control ward is there. You know it only dropped to 2 HP. So Hambach, a mistake on that one, a bit of a blunder, does get punished, and now Team Liquid are back in control. But again, getting those past 2 Drakes, this is so much less frightening for Sentinels than it otherwise could have been, because Team Liquid now could be in some trouble. LYON with the flash over the wall, but immediately Rahel's ready to follow. Killer instinct! Killer indeed. Who he ends up taking the kill credit, as now you've got Quid and Hozadioto trying to do something back into Sentinels. They found a couple of kills. Darkwings wants to go in after Quid as Jose and Morgan are trying to scrap with Rahel and Impact. Core JJ makes his way into the fight, but Quid's had to run all the way away. Impact stunned up with the enchanted Ruthless Predator, loses his shield on that one. Hozadioto looking for Rahel, he knows that's the target. Dead bodies on the floor in both jerseys, chat. It's 1 dead for TL, 2 dead for Sentinels.
And we're going again in 30 seconds. That was a really cool play. So that's the type of threat that Kai'Sa can have on Ezreal at any stage in the game. Someone just lands the CC to apply the first Kai'Sa mark, and then Rahel's going to be able to fly in and finish off the execution. But what I was really impressed with was Team Liquid's confidence to re-engage, because usually if your AD carry gets one shot, you think maybe the game's over, but they'd burned so much just to get LYON. They said Morgan at level 16 with Renekton and me with my Conqueror, not first strike Jarvan, are still going to be able to win this fight later. And they're going to get the Drake out of it too, with the redeploy by Sentinels just being towards waves.
Yeah, Team Liquid secure this one for themselves. There's no Baron on the other side of the map to worry about Sentinels taking. So finally, 28, nearly 29 minutes into the game, it is soul point status for TL. Darkwings' Sundisk is decaying down here in the bottom lane. Hozadioto going to jump in, try to put some pressure onto the Emperor. Core and LYON moving in to try to help Jose here. The tether will lock up Darkwing, but they need to have the extra damage on top, and Hozadioto guarantees it. Another individual mistake on the Sentinels side, being in a position that could be punished, is going to open up yet another Team Liquid avenue to find more afterwards. This is a 45-second death timer on your late game Azir. This is pressure onto the tier 3 turret coming out from Team Liquid as Impact moves in to try to stop the push. Morgan is maintaining a split push threat over in the mid lane, but now he's going to get jumped on. Hambach and Rahel immediately pull both triggers on the ultimates and take out the enemy top laner. Problem is, now those tools are no longer available, and Team Liquid is already in your base. Sentinels are thinking about, how are we going to make this play? How do we try to wrap around and punish? But it's still a 4v4 because you've still got Darkwings dead. Now, once Darkwings respawns, he has TP. We'll see if they can use that.
I'll give you a second to take a breath, because this game's not slowing down. Hambach is on the flank, and they will have a numbers advantage before Team Liquid can get out.
He's Pop Blossom. Keep your eyes on it. Quid's gonna be tagged, but nobody else is caught. Who he goes for some burst. Impact wants to lock up the rest of the team. Hambach trying to put the Vault Breaker into Quid, and they've got the kill in the mid laner. Nicely picked up there on the side of Sentinels to get Quid and Core JJ together. LYON and Jose Diodo trying to make sure they can both escape. It's the buddy system. Don't go nowhere without your buddy. Sentinels wanting to get something back on this one. Tier 1 turret. Now the focus of their aggression. They will take the gold lead back with this, but critically, Baron is still 2 minutes away, so there won't be a major reward for the picks.
Absolutely insane game we have here. This is the stage equivalent of that 80 kill scrim game. The hex gates are open, the tempo's out of control. It looks like Team Liquid just never wants to stop, like they're just going forward at every single moment, and it's leading to some big plays and some misplays. On one hand, they got the pick onto Darkwings at the beginning. On the other hand, once Renekton died in mid lane, they probably shouldn't have pushed all the way through for that inhibitor because there was going to be no way out after the fact. And you can see there who he gets the original engage. He does end up falling, but the overall counterpunch was still there in a big way for Sentinels.
All right, we find ourselves once more at the Baron Pit part of the map. 60 seconds until it spawns means now is the time to fight for vision and positioning around that objective. Team Liquid moving into the enemy jungle, and if you're Sentinels, particularly if you're Hambach, you've got to be aware of what happened last time. Team Liquid vision in the Sentinels jungle is what led to the previous Baron, so Sentinels must be very mindful as they move back into what should be their territory, retake these brushes, sweep out these wards, and be prepared to fight for a Baron. Because the gold lead, Jet, really isn't that big. It's 3 dragons to 2. This can very easily go either way based on positioning and execution.
Yeah, where does the shockwave land? Death cap on the Orianna, big one-shot potential. There are 2 stopwatches available, soon to be 3 of who he gets a little bit more gold, which is just a huge number of ways to dodge the shockwave for Sentinels. So I'd like their chances here as long as they don't get picked off, especially with Rahel's gold lead being 3,000 gold up against his counterpart LYON. Not to mention Impact with his ever-increasing health bar. Looks like he got about 6,000 health at this point.
1,336 HP from Soul Furnace. Woo. That's a lot of health.
And it's not like Ezreal, Ori, Jarvan, Renekton is good at shredding it, right? There's no,
you said it back in draft. Yeah, man, when we have Orianna, Ezreal, it can be a little bit hard to chew through a late-game Scion. But now Baron's health bar down to below 10,000. Team Liquid doing very slow DPS, though, as Huhi is a Riverside minion trying to find his way around from behind the fight. Hambach wants to lead the charge. Shockwave right back onto the enemy jungler, as both will be knocked down into the Guardian Angels now. Morgan not finding an entry point into the fight as LYON dies. Hambach's ready there to take the kill. Jose Diodo re-enters, and Darkwings is dealt with. Jose over the wall, but Rahel's ready to follow him as Team Liquid continue fighting here in a 3v4. Morgan goes back over the wall. Rahel under pressure. They need to try to kill the Kai'Sa, but they can't find the damage. Core JJ gonna be your target here next. Double kill into a Kathian Rain, and Quid is down. Triple kill Rahel, and Sentinels, when it matters most, out team fight Team Liquid.
Absolutely insane play there by Rahel, but it all started with a suicidal-looking Vi engage. He knew what he needed to do. His job was to set up the Kai'Sa. He cues in over the wall and just sends it onto LYON. The rest of the team flies in, and watch Rahel in this fight. After getting ulted by Jarvan, ults over the wall, in range to hit LYON, but range of safety. Plus he has the stopwatch in this fight, which he holds for the perfect moment. So he flashes over for Jose. The last-ditch effort here by Quid and Morgan is to try and one-shot him. No, the Orianna Ball is not going to do it because of that stopwatch. He can finish off even more kills. They get the Baron. They also get another Drake to deny Soul, and this is an absolute banger.
Somebody get my man Golden Glue some water. His face is looking red. He has to be just losing his mind right now at his team pulling off that play. They get the Drake right after, so no soul for TL yet again. Sentinels equalizing that at 3-3. The next one has to be a soul one way or the other, but Sentinels is now 4,000 gold ahead. Hambach with the hero moment, man. I criticized him very heavily earlier for getting caught in what gave away the first Baron, but he is absolutely the reason that they got this second one here. So redemption for the Sentinels jungler around the Baron pit. The gold is essentially dead even all over the place, not even 1,000 in any individual role, except with one very big exception, the bottom lane. 5,000 individual gold lead for Rahel on the Kai'Sa, nearly full build. You can see the itemization here in his inventory. Nashor's, Ginsu's, Dusk Dawn, critically the Zhonya's as well for the aggro drop alongside the Kraken Slayer, and now with the needlessly large rod in inventory, once that evolves into a fully completed item, he's done. 7-item ADC.
What an absurd power spike you have on every stage of this Kai'Sa build. Every single item seems to give him a new awesome power, and it's a Kai'Sa comp. When he's this fed, it's really, really nice to play. It's the funny thing with Rahel, this was true even last year on DSG, like when he gets a lead, he's very good at carrying. It's just really hard to get him gold because their laning is not that dominant. So the fact that they were able to win so many skirmishes is really setting him up for a lot of success.
I mean, it's kind of what you said back at the beginning of the game, right? Like Team Liquid, they were playing super aggro. They were setting the tempo to the game to high. However, that led to some good things and some bad, even though they had those massive CS leads in top lane, mid lane, bottom lane, everywhere. The kills that Sentinels got kept the game close enough for Rahel to start hitting back, for Darkwings to start hitting back. We have 3 minutes until what finally, after 36 minutes of gameplay, 39 once we get there, must be a Dragon Soul.
Yes, it will be a Dragon Soul, assuming someone hits the Drake. And also, what a vintage Impact game. 29 kills, none of the deaths have been Impact. 1-0-11, an absolute brick wall, level 20 Scion in this game.
This guy is crazy. You give him the right rune and look what he can do. Impact is one of the most veteran players in Pro League of Legends worldwide for a reason. The guy is an absolute beast, man. All right, Sentinels with control over the map. They're trying to make sure that now Team Liquid are the ones who feel the pressure. They're the ones who feel suffocated inside their own base. Morgan is trying to defend the top lane, everybody else defending the mid lane. But it looks like Sentinels will just be happy taking control with Vision for now. It doesn't look like they'll be able to push much further as the Baron has expired. So that just means it's a 2-minute countdown, my friend. It's time for a soul.
Death cap on the Kai'Sa as well. So he is 1.5 full items ahead of LYON's Ezreal. It's just, it's a full 7-item Kai'Sa, lethal tempo, AP hybrid super Kai'Sa. Will just one-shot the world, assuming he doesn't get one-shot himself.
Observers, if we can, could you pull up the tooltip for Kai'Sa's passive
550,
specifically
1 AP
right now so the viewers can see how much damage the passive will do? Okay, so this is Plasma dealing 48% missing health magic damage on a single Plasma proc. I knew it was going to be high. I didn't know it was going to be 48% of your missing health.
And he does that in like half a second once he's autoing you too.
Yeah. So if you're at half health, the bonus damage from the Plasma proc, without even considering anything else of his on hits or any of that, will take away one of the 2 remaining quarters of your health.
That doesn't seem very fair.
Well, it is a 7-item marksman, so at this point, if he's not doing damage, something is broken. But that damage seems like it might be a little bit high. Ops crew, thank you very much. Love you guys. And now we want to see if Sentinels can close this one out. I feel like for many situations, if you play this next situation 10 times, a lot of those times, this is the game ender.
I agree, and this could also be the series ender. Like, we're talking them up in a big way, but if Rahel mispositions or Team Liquid win this in a weird way, the game's late enough with no turrets on the bottom side that they could run and end the series. It's likely we see a game 3, but Sentinels need to close the deal here. They've done such a good job fighting their way back in this game. They've hit the 7-item power spike. It's time to get this soul and convert the advantage.
Whenever we get into these late game moments, I always want to count who has the 1 fight, 1 game items. Guardian Angel on both junglers, Zhonya's on both mid laners, but then critically, you've got Zhonya's on both bottom laners for the side of Sentinels as well. The only person without a no you can't kill me item on Sentinels is the 7,000 HP Scion.
So I think he's a no, he doesn't need the item. It's also the protoplasm harness, kind of. Like when you have
it's not to the same degree, but it is still good.
It's insane. They just get the soul for free. So we could still be in this for a little while longer with Baron up. They're just going to collect the buffs that are available on the map. And you can see right now Jose he's trying to make a funny play happen. While they were doing Drake, he snuck his way in, and he's really just hoping that they do something silly and they can make something happen.
But again, when it's 3 Zhonya's Hourglasses and a Guardian Angel and a guy that has 8,000 health, who actually cares about walking into a lone Jarvan at 40 minutes into the game?
There's nobody that's instantly burstable unless they are like not looking at their screen and they get hit by a shockwave, because they can always press the stopwatch on the Orianna ultimate. They have better poke, they have better DPS. They just need to make sure they're playing as a unit. And they found him, actually.
Jungle battle. Okay, never mind. It's not a jungle battle. It's an EQ to get away. Core JJ just took a massive thunderbolt of damage, because also all the Void Seekers from Rahel now have the Hex Soul Lightning Bolt Chain Lightning Slow attached to them. So, yeah, those Void Seekers, I feel like the Void Seeker with the Hex Soul proccing on it and everything probably does more damage than Ezreal ulti does.
Yeah, I want to see Rahel's damage at the end of this game if the Lounge is listening.
I really want one of those to hit, just so I can see the chunk of damage. All right, let's go ahead and begin the Baron. It's Hambach and Rahel. That's DPS from just the 3 of them. Like, this thing is shredding. Team Liquid, if they want to try to challenge this, they're going to have to go yesterday. Nope, Hambach's already got it secured. Impact in the middle of everybody. Hoo-hee! With the pop blossom onto the back line, already ready to take YON out of the picture. Core JJ's your target is Jose Dioto, has to retreat. Rahel's going legendary. Now he's going golden. He's putting the pressure onto everybody on Team Liquid, and YON's going to be killed off next. True Shot Barrage won't matter worth a damn. Quid's running towards the wrong side of the jungle. Jose Dioto's trying to cut waves, and Sentinels fought it exactly how they needed to.
They are farming Team Liquid right now. They might not have the minions in the right spot to be able to end.
They got one wave, that's all you need.
I think it's far enough along. Jose tried to cut the wave, couldn't completely do it. They probably end on this push.
Yeah, they've got a cannon minion, they've got Baron. Quid's gonna try to stop these, and as soon as he steps up, you just instantly kill him. The damage onto the turrets from Azir and Kai'Sa at this part of the game is so massive.
Yeah.
They're just going to crumble in an instant. Impact makes his way forward as well. I can barely count the notches on the health bar anymore on this guy. As Sentinels continues their push towards the Nexus turrets, 15 seconds on YON and Morgan for the Team Liquid side. Darkwings and Rahel stepping up to do the DPS. Rahel flies into the back line looking for the killer instinct, but nobody's dead here just yet. He one-shot him! Rahel gets the one-shot at a core. JJ Hambach following up towards Quid, as Sentinels is honestly taking a little bit too long to do this. Darkwing's getting targeted by Morgan. True Shot Barrage over the top. Darkwings is slowed. Morgan with a 1,000 gold shutdown. There's no way, right? There's no way, right? There's no way, right? Hambach and Impact are alive, but a TP's coming into the bottom lane now.
Rahel got one shot by Quid trying to style with a late game ultimate. I think the Baron buff and the Sign is enough to stop it, but this wave is pretty deep, and there are super minions for Team Liquid. It would be a 3v2, but this is the last-ditch effort. It's just a Scion and a Vi.
Yeah, they're full sending it already for the Team Liquid side. They already committed both teleports. They've already got YON here. Hambach and Impact trying to hold the line. YON's gonna make sure he hits every single bit of his DPS, but Morgan's about to die. He dies before he can get away. Quid and YON trying to keep the pressure going. Impact at half HP, and Team Liquid recognizes, despite their teleports, despite Rahel going in too deep, this will not be the end of the game. The Elder spawns in less than 2 minutes.
Morgan is having a rough go. Just about 3 seconds ahead of the play there, gets CC chained under the turret. I do think it was overly ambitious for them to try for that end anyway. Again, like, Scion does actually do a little bit of damage this late into the game, but my God, as you said, there's no way, right, that doesn't end. But when Rahel flies in without his stopwatch, doesn't get a clean one-shot onto Quid, it did give that small glimmer for Team Liquid on their way back, and it mainly just confirms that we're going to be going to an Elder, which now, like, so the fact that Rahel's been on 7 items for like 6 minutes, he's getting weaker the later this game goes, and YON is now close to the 7 items as well. He's got the Endless Hunger on the Ezreal. We're very close to getting a max item Orianna as well, so it's likely not to cost them the game, but it may have cost him the game there to not cleanly just hit the turrets and end.
This is wild. 44 minutes on the clock. 7 elemental drakes claimed, the largest number that can possibly spawn. Now we're finally getting our Elder. 45 seconds from now, Hambach steals away the enemy red buff as the rest of his team steps forward to keep Team Liquid guessing. Only inhibitors down in the game. Bottom inhibitor gone for Sentinels, mid inhibitor gone for Team Liquid. So it's not like either side is also completely confined into their base either. And both of these inhibitors are in lanes adjacent to the Elder Dragon pit. So it's not like either side is even getting dragged far away towards the other side of the map to deal with the supers.
I still think it's going to be really difficult for Team Liquid to make this approach. The poke from the Kai'Sa is so enormous. Someone's going to get chunked trying to retake this space. Not to mention, Impact just stands there, and you can't really poke him with how big his W shield is. So Team Liquid just trying to go through mid, and Elder is up. So the instant Rahel starts hitting it, it's going to die in like 5 seconds.
Okay, let's see how much damage they do to it. Acathian Rain. Yeah, it honestly looks like
already 10,000 damage.
Kai'Sa's dancing with how fast she shoots. This has got to be a new feature for the KDA skin, as now immediately they try to go in. Darkwing's going to be your target. Yon's already killed him, but the Elder Drake has been claimed by the side of Sentinels. Hambach going into the back line, looking to try to find himself a target. Rahel flies in for the killer instinct, and there's your executions. Sentinels finally finds it, the triple, the quadra kill for Rahel. They might have lost Darkwings there at the very beginning, but the Elder buff ends games for a reason. It was a long, bloody battle, my friend, but Sentinels are not gonna go quietly here in this best of 3. They bounce back in game number 2. They do it with the massive Kai'Sa performance from Rahel. This dude is my player of the game, no question.
Captain Flowers 7.
Losing track of all of the different super buffs at this point. The Elder Dragon obviously being the game ender it was supposed to be, and Sentinels striking back in a game 2 after game 1 was lost from draft because of the Guardian Aatrox situation. So now we've had the game 1 that was extremely Team Liquid one-sided. We had the absolute bloodbath game 2 that Sentinels was disadvantaged at the start for and fought their way back. Game number 3 for automatic progression forward into the bracket stage starts now. Team Liquid with first pick choice. Sentinels opting then to go onto the blue side. Aurora banned out by SEN as the Syndra and Cassante are banned out by Team Liquid. The Cassante staying away from Impact for all 3 games in this series.
Yep, Team Liquid does not want to let him have a chance on that. Also, Sion is banned because we are in Fearless, so we're still down 20 champions from Fearless going into this next game. I feel like Team Liquid also will feel like they let game 2 slip through their fingertips. There were moments in the early game where it looked like they were going for like a 20-minute speed run because they were winning every lane by 10 to 30 CS. They were attempting turret dives, jungle invades, but they just made too many slip-ups, and then Sentinels just got a lot of gold, and the game became that fiesta. So Sentinel's going to try and build off of that. I do wonder if Team Liquid stays as aggressive as they have been in draft with picking kind of 3 winning lanes and just hoping to steamroll you, or do they say, guys, take a deep breath. Let's just make sure we have scaling in case this game goes late.
I don't know how much of a hot take this is, but I honestly kind of love the just full YOLO gameplay at the very start of a season, like pre-first stand era.
Yeah.
I want to see teams do the, I wonder if I run hard enough at this wall, the wall will break before my head does. That's kind of what I want to see you test with your coordination, your aggro, like you're saying. Obviously, the the takeaway that I want Team Liquid to have from the last game is last game was too much of it because you ended up giving away some free kills, you ended up having a lot of errors, but I do want to see them stay aggressive, stay creative as the Trundle, Silas, Nocturne all banned away here too. Team Liquid is going to grab themselves the Rumble first up, and the response from Sentinels, they will get the Xinjiao for Hambach, and Ornn is the answer into Rumble.
Yeah, and they've set that up big with the Silas and the Trundle bans. So the Ornn is in a safe spot in this game, definitely wanting Impact to be able to just play good tank engage.
Well, the other thing, there is still a couple champions of the control Ornn, Windwall and Unbreakable from Yasuo and Braum respectively, are also both very good against Ornn. Yasuo, I feel like you've got to see more of the draft to be able to pick him
Yasuo, though,
comfortably,
he loves
confidently. Braum is one, though, that sometimes you will see teams go for after some of the enchanters are out of the pool. It's Yunara locked in for Team Liquid. Do they want to go ahead and draft the support for that already, or maybe not? Maybe we get something else. Maybe we're looking at the jungle. You can see Quid jumping through a lot of these. Some of them in particular seem very exciting, but not very likely. Ooh. And we're going to get Jose Dioto on one of his iconic picks, the SEN.
Okay. That's definitely confidence in outplaying. I do not think SEN is strong in the current scaling meta, but if you pull it off perfectly, you can still run over a game. You can dodge around the Ornn ultimates, but in a straight-up duel and a lot of skirmishes, that SEN is going to be stronger. So big confidence play. It could also set up a Yasuo in the 4-5, because SEN kicking a Yasuo ultimate is still a spicy kill combo, and LYON is laughing. Something's going on here in the draft for Team Liquid. They're cooking something up.
I hope it's something wild. I really sincerely do. We've got Corki picked up for Sentinels, for Rahel there in the bottom lane. Obviously, it will be hard for him to have as monster of a performance in any game as he did in game number 2 with that hyper carry Kai'Sa, but we know that Corki can do plenty of damage if he's not kept behind early. I do want to see how aggressive LYON and Core JJ will keep playing here in game 3.
I'm just so locked in on what Quid is going to play. It's probably, could be something completely boring, but he loves Yasuo. He plays so much of it in solo queue. Probably one of his most played champions of all time.
They've got Rumble in top lane for AP threat.
And it's I don't think it's good either, but it just it might work.
But it's cool.
It's cool, and that's kind of Team Liquid style. It's a weird thing though, to bring back your earlier point of you do want to have the team that just goes all out, early game, flips things, plays aggressive. But what happens in League of Legends so much with these formats and how quickly you can react to performance, like if they drop this game, then they could be put in a situation that they're in a best of 1 to make top 6 versus being eliminated and have 2 months off.
Right. The 2 months is crazy.
I agree. Like, I actually do fully buy into let's play the early game stuff, because that's also a good way to beat teams internationally. And you need to practice that in your own domestic region. But if you just make that few mistakes early, because you are playing a coin flippy style, you can really, really get punished.
It's the difference between running it down full fiesta every game, but then on the opposite end of the spectrum, old school TSM fans, just cover your ears for the next 10 seconds. The old TSM where they would run the league domestically all year long, go to internationals, do nothing and lose, right? Yep. You've got to be able to play your lanes in a way where you're going to dominate from the early stages of the game. But lots of support bans here in our second half of the draft. It's the Bard, the Poppy, the Lulu, and the Nautilus all banned away as we're seeing the Rakan hovered here for Sentinels. That is a traditionally weaker laner with some very powerful scaling in his presence in the team fights. Now you've got Ornn alongside Rakan for massive engage on Sen.
And a lot of enchanters are gone. Remember, Nami and Karma are both already dropped from the first 2 games of Fearless. Nautilus ban, Leona Alistar would be the engage supports, and they just go for engage, so they take Alistar.
We still don't know what Quid is going to be. You know who Alistar also loves having on his team? Oh!
Yeah, I know.
That is the opposite of Yasuo.
It is.
Okay.
Quid's a pretty good Victor.
Yeah, I know, but after I saw the Alistar too, which is another great wind buddy.
Well, I think actually, if it didn't have to be blind picked, there's a higher chance. But the fact that it's a full blind pick, I don't think you just slam Yasuo like that.
I mean, that's the confidence play. That's the aggressive play. But yeah, we won't be getting that one here this time around. We'll be the victor. Ooh. So we've got 2 very powerful, high damage AP solo laners on the Team Liquid side, which I think makes you feel a little bit better about having the SEN in the jungle, because now you always have the differentiated damage types if he's going to gank for either one of those. You've got Yunara and Alistar in the bottom lane. Alistar's also another one of those supports. You've got a lot of playmaking and engage potential, but your lane is kind of crap compared to a lot of other supports. But if both supports are bad at laning, nobody's actually bad in the lane.
Yeah.
Because it's all equalized.
Yeah. Alistar, Rakan is a flip. You don't really want to play Braum into Rakan, because Rakan just flies all around you. So makes sense how Sentinels comboed out the rest of their team composition. I'm a little surprised that they didn't actually go with the Hui and instead go for the Galio. Darkwings will need to survive in this lane. If he does get a little bit ahead, he can itemize really well for the solo lanes, because he can stack a bit of MR against the Rumble Victor. But late game against the Yunara, where I feel like most win conditions for Sentinels are going to be late game, I don't necessarily think they outscale in this situation.
So the thing that I'm also thinking about is, from what you said, all the way back in like game 1 when we had the TLAW and we had the Pantheon, and you were talking about, yeah, these champions with these globals or semi-globals like those, or like a Galio was another one you mentioned. They want something like the Aatrox that unfortunately had the wrong rune to play through in the side lane, right? If the mid laner is Robin, you need to have a Batman champion somewhere in the side lanes for Robin to show up and help, because the comics aren't about him. And when you look at the rest of the composition around the Galio, you're looking at an Ornn in the top lane. Ornn is not going to be your hyper carry. You're looking at Xin Zhao in the jungle. Unless Xin Zhao starts off 8-0, which I don't think is very likely to happen in pro play, he's not going to be your hyper carry either.
For sure. I would say that the only team I've ever seen consistently win with solo lanes like Galio Ornn is like 2018 RNG with Uzi. Because they would just give him 100 more CS than everyone else, and he would just power farm. And they were the only team. If you go back and look at some of those team compositions, man, they are so not modern League of Legends. No. They would run like this with Skarner in the jungle. It was literally like triple AP topside garbage that you could never get away with in today's game.
Skarner there.
No, man. Like those guys, you're not allowed to pick triple AP or triple AD in your topside in modern League of Legends because teams will just run you. But RNG won MSI doing it. Sorry for the old tangent. Team Liquid trying to get aggressive in lane, burning barrier for an early trade.
Yeah, and now there's the heal burned in response for that trade just to try to keep the health bars nice and high. LYON and Core have been playing both of the previous game's lanes as if the enemy jungler does not exist. You just shove up, you don't care, you keep trading aggressively. It doesn't matter if we have Alistar, you have Rakan, and we are going to shoot you for it. LYON and Core now backing off a little bit further.
Well, they don't have barrier or heal, so or health potions. So I think they actually went a little bit too hard here. He's got to reset.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so LYON is going to go ahead and step back now. Rahel and Huhi, hey, this is a better lane state than they've had at 2 minutes in either of the previous games.
It is. They fought back. And the wave is also pushing against them. So LYON, he did actually have to reset there because the lane was in a bad state. So they took a bad trade. Rahel Huhi with a nice early advantage. That's going to pay itself forward. But I will also say, like, Team Liquid's jungle is pathing away from them. Even more reason LYON had to reset. They're going to have to expose themselves to break this freeze.
Jose Dioto's Lee Sin, another point that we talked about in the draft that you brought up. Like, you've got to be confident if you're picking this into the Xin Zhao from Hambach. See if he can manage to find pressure, find opportunities and avenues for ganks up against this champion that will likely outduel him. As Darkwings is, you know, you're a melee champion versus a range champion in the first couple of levels. You're going to get traded on pretty heavily, so he'll just go ahead, back away right now. Generally, when I look at these early, like, range versus melee matchups, I always track, can you hold it together well enough to have your first buy be what you want it to be versus getting chunked out in a bad spot and you go back and you buy some junk like a ruby crystal, right?
Yeah, where's the Spectre's cow is what Galio is going to be trying to rush towards. Taking a decent chunk. I'm really surprised that Hambach didn't go for bot crab. So Jose's going to double crab him. Blabber would be, he'd be typing GG to his team at this moment. Just a free double crab angle, despite LYON being level 2 for most of this. I'm very confused about that, but he'll be back on the map to clean up grubs, or to get his grump.
Lee Sin pick, stays winning.
Yeah.
Double crab, only game so far where we got the double crab early on. Hambach thinking about maybe this top lane. Ganking for a champion like Ornn, even though Ornn doesn't have a ton of damage himself, he does have a deceptive amount of damage for a tank champion, but the setup that this guy can provide is so nice, especially with a great early ganker like Xin Zhao. I do want to see if they can punish Morgan if he gets too aggressive on this Rumble. We have seen Morgan play aggressively so far in this series. Last game in particular had a bunch of aggressive moments, some of which were far too aggressive.
Yes.
Right? So I feel like this is a guy who you can say from what you saw in the first 2 games, yes, here's an opportunity where we have, this guy is going to push too far up, he's going to play too aggressively, and that's where we can get our early leads.
Potentially, once Impact hits level 6, they could definitely send something up to the top lane, assuming the rest of the game is in a good state, which it does. I mean, this is not a explosive early game by Team Liquid by any means. Oftentimes, the explosive early game comes through the bottom lane. And for the first game of the 3, Rahel and Huhi won the early duel and took their own advantage in the bottom lane. So Impact already building up to a lot of MR on the Ornn. So he's gotten through a lot of the early laning phase. Down about 10 CS, which is not bad in the early lane from Rumble versus Ornn.
Exactly. Going up against Rumble, most champions just kind of know that they're going to lose in terms of the early farm. Morgan, yeah, he walks up, he takes a turret. Jose Dioto is shadowing him, though, because they know that they don't want Morgan to end up getting punished right here. So the wave crashes in. Morgan's going to take his recall, should have whatever buy he wants right now, as Impact does purchase the Rejuvenation Beads. And considering Jose Dioto was up on that top side of the map, Hambach is down here near bottom lane. They've got the push. They've got the control through Rahel and Huhi, like you already mentioned. So Hambach will take a very early first Drake. Early round Drake. Nice.
Yeah, start the clock. That's 5 minutes, 36 seconds. I talked earlier in the series about how Sentinels fixed their game last week by just playing Drake. So they got Dragon Soul in both of their wins last week. Technically today, they also got their win from Dragon Soul, even though it was a 7 Drake Soul in that game.
Yeah.
This team does need to have the stacking objectives to win so far. They don't necessarily play on the same page a lot of the time. So a way to bring everyone onto the same page is just start Drake stacking early and fight around objectives.
And I feel like this kind of ties in with something you brought up in the previous game. Hold on, we'll talk about that in just a moment, because Sentinels may find themselves
the objective
on the receiving end of a pincer attack. Hambach eats the resonating strike there from Jose Dioto. Now he's got to be a little bit careful, does get knocked back, but the entrance from Dark Wings is heroic indeed. It's first blood over to Sentinels. Hambach might just die here, but CoreJJ should get picked up. Rahel chasing after him in the flash for the auto attack. He's staying alive for now, but the death ray picks him up. It's a 2-for-2 trade in the bot side river.
And not only that, both kills go to both carries on both teams, so a really even fight there. As normally it's Crab into Drake, this time it's Drake into Crab, and the Crab is the one that ends up seeing the fight. So both junglers level 5 at the start of this one. Jose does win the smite and get a kick on Hambach, but it's at the expense of getting eaten by the Galio ultimate. So it continues.
Rahel and LYON also continue, both down to 100 HP during the replay.
They're playing Barrier Chicken as well, so both of them aren't in immediate risk of death.
Ooh, nice knock-up.
Still playing Barrier Chicken. Insane.
Yeah. There's a quick heal from the Gleaming Quill. Huhi keeping Rahel healthy as soon as Sonic Wave from Jose does not hit. They know that there's no more chance to try to go for a cheeky move there. Jose Dioto, without the Dragon's Rage, won't just be able to immediately take the Q into the R for the instant kill on the Corki. And so you're going to see Rahel go for his recall. He will achieve that slightly before LYON does, but they are both going back around the same time.
Yeah, I feel like LYON was sitting on that Tripletronic Elixir the whole time. I wonder if he popped that, if he could have actually won, or at least gotten the barrier. We'll still have that for a later fight whenever he wants it, but I love the spice. I mean, I do really think this game is going to come down to some combination of which AD can carry harder.
Okay.
It's not necessarily like a Kai'Sa comp like we had last time, but just looking at the top side for Sentinels, Ornn, Galio, Xin, you really need Rahel to do damage. But then likewise, with the Rumble Victor into the 2 tanks that are all going to be itemizing MR because that's in side lanes, you need a really fed Yunara to cut through that. So we're going to wait until 3 or 4 items on these 80 carries to really start seeing fights have big consequence.
A tale of 2 carries here in game number 3. 2 minutes left on the clock until the next Drake spawns. The Void Grubs have made their way into the top side river. Nobody moving there just yet. It is Morgan with control over top lane, nearly claiming the second plate there as he crashes another wave into the turrets. As CoreJJ is forced to use the Unbreakable Will, finds Huhi and Rahel both waiting inside the Tri-Brush, considering that means that there's no ultimate on the Alistar. It's far harder for him to get involved in anything much bigger than a 2v2.
Yeah, LYON does have ultimate though. Big power spike if he decides to press that one. So Sentinels pushing bot lane, getting pushed in the top lane, but it's a lot of just minion trading when we consider what's actually happening in the lanes, unless Hambach can make a dive happen. They're going to get the notification of the grub soon.
Yep, okay, so Void Grub secured. Jose Dioto's got that one. Hambach knows there's no ultimate here on the Alistar. Dark Wings is also following up behind to guarantee they're able to take this. CoreJJ drops, and now the target might just be LYON here for the follow-up. Hambach's going forward. Arcane Storm is used, but it won't matter. It looks like Team Liquid were ready for Hambach to show up because they send LYON back. CoreJJ is the sacrificial lamb, but LYON hanging around there just a little bit too long, right as Dark Wings walks up and says, "Sup, dude?" That is not what they were expecting, clearly, because they end up losing 2.
Yeah, Jose thought he was getting some cheeky grubs, but not being around to cover could have big implications on the rest of this game. Look at that CS gap in the bot lane now, 92 to 66. When's the last time you saw LYON on that low CS? 10 minutes into the game. So beautifully done by Sentinels, getting the ult out early, rotating around. I think Team Liquid knew the Galio was around because you can see Quid trying to shadow on the way back, but it's just too big of a numbers advantage. Ultimately, LYON needed to just retreat to his turret, but knows how bad it is for his game to lose that wave. Ends up losing his life as well, which makes it worse.
Yeah, it sucks to lose a wave, don't get me wrong, but then to give up the kill right after, even if you know that the Galio is going to be close and you're sending Victor to follow, Galio is going to have so much more impact with his 2 forms of hard CC versus Victor dropping some damage or some delayed CC. Just feels like that was some greediness from Team Liquid trying to stop LYON from falling further behind. Sentinels now with a 400 gold lead as a team. Biggest individual gold lead so far in this game, though, is Morgan up there in the top lane. But I feel like if you're Sentinels, you're pretty okay with that. Again, you picked Ornn. You know that he's not going to slam his lane. He does almost have the Kaenic Rookern completed. And I feel like that's the point where Rumble really stops being able to bully this guy effectively because you just allow the shield to absorb all the barbecue.
Sentinels team comp becomes extremely hard to play against if they keep LYON in the dirt, because there will not be damage to kill Galio Ornn, and they will be able to go wherever they want. And the Drake stacking, it's online. They play around bottom lane. They're trying to burn this bottom lane down, and Drake's up. So Hanbok's in river. That's the game plan.
Okay. Sonic Wave from Jose Diodo finds Hanbok. No reason to follow that one up here just yet. Both junglers do have Sundered Sky completed, so that power spike is locked and loaded. Hallowed Radiance done for Darkwings in the mid lane as well, alongside the Blackfire Torch for Quid's Victor. Neither one of our bottom laners that we are talking about being so important in this game have their first items so far, thus far.
Yeah.
As Darkwings wants to make sure Quid doesn't try to rotate over to this bottom side river at all. You could see the Xin Zhao portrait just quickly jump forward a little bit towards the Dragon Pit in the minimap, and that means that Hanbok and the rest of Sentinels have decided they have enough control. They will be able to secure this second Drake of the game. And once again, my friend, it's a Hex Rift. Chaos is on the horizon.
I hope so, because this game is a little bit slow, but in a favor of Sentinels, which was not expected. All 3 people on the lounge predicted a 2-0 for Team Liquid today. But again, look at this. LYON can't get back to his turret. Sentinels is just camping them.
I love to see this aggressive play from Sentinels, but now it might have got a little bit too aggressive. He does manage to dash back over the wall, escape before another turret shot finds him. The Arcane Storm is ticking, though. Here comes your heroic entrance. Darkwings arrives, but now he's got to try to get away.
Rush.
Lands the taunt, Phase Rush, giving him that extra distance. That means that Rahel and Huhi both get to keep their flashes, but they had to spend both other defensive summoners alongside the ulti from Darkwings. Jose Diodo seeing if he can find a greedy recall here, but there is no such thing just yet. Rahel does almost stay around a little bit too long. Okay, he trusted his sidestep there.
Okay.
The trust pays off.
Flowers Hex Rift is creating chaos already.
Yep. I called it. I told you.
He's already back in the map. They're still fighting.
He wants the knock up onto Jose, but the grand entrance falls a little bit short. Quid stepping forward here. Remember, no ulti on either one of the mid laners. Core JJ does have Unbreakable Will here on the Alistar as the TP is coming in. Core jumps in, nice 2-man knock-up. Hanbok returning with the counter engage as there goes Morgan's equalizer, trying to find enough damage here. Huhi and Hanbok both about to die. Core JJ won't be traded. The double kill back over to Morgan on the Rumble. He's looking to carry from the top lane. Where the hell did the Ornhorn go? Impact is not able to send the thing back in where they wanted it, and Team Liquid gets everybody away on blinking health bars.
I gotta see if Impact got CC'd, because I thought that Ornn ultimate was about to turn things, but as we mentioned, total chaos, and the biggest winner of this is actually LYON. He got a full push bottom lane, takes 2 plates, and then can walk up for this. Wow, Rahel is completely denied of farm, but Hanbok actually just all-ins on top of a Rumble TP when Impact is way behind and a level down. So yes, Impact has his ultimate here and just doesn't click it right. No CC to stop him.
I do think that could have been the fight turner that you were talking about.
Ooh.
If that Ornhorn redirects, because you slam that onto all of those low health bars, they should be able to pick up this kill onto Quid without a whole lot of to do about it. That Phase Rush is getting him somewhat away, but no, Hanbok will finish the kill. Yeah, the Ornhorn in that previous fight, if you could have found the knockups and the follow-ups, but we'll never know. It's only hypotheticals from here. Core JJ and Jose Diodo coming up 2 versus 3 as a nice quickness to charm them both from Huhi, but there's no follow-up damage. LYON and Rahel encountering one another. The Frost Bomb connects onto LYON, and Rahel goes in! The AD carry battle results in a win for Sentinels, and now with 2 dead on the enemy team, both of those 2 being carries, Jat, it looks like Sentinels is ready to start up the Rift Herald. Jose Dioto is nearby,
still going.
and Dark Wings is coming around from the other side. Core and Jose wanting to challenge for the objective. Resonating Strike comes in from Jose Dioto, and he steals away the Herald. Now the equalizer's down over the top from Morgan, but it's still a 4v3 favoring Sentinels. Jose wants to get out, but the heroic entrance goes in. Morgan's still overheated, but he's got another flame spitter ready to go. Morgan finds a kill. Rahel's gonna die to Core, JJ. Morgan finally falls to the winds of war as Core is knocked up into the air by the grand entrance once more. Quid's trying to show up, mop and bucket. He's got some cleanup duty to do as Impact wants to cover for the escape of Dark Wings and Huhi. This is a game, my friend.
This is North American League of Legends. It's non-stop action. Jose Dioto's insane. It's a 3v4, and he goes in for the Rift Herald steal, and they just all commit to the fight. They nearly get the execution onto Rahel. He lives just a second longer. That allows Impact to walk all the way from base. I still think Sentinels come out ahead at the end of it, but this is insanity. The Hex Gates have ruined the minds of everyone in this game, and they're just giving them this insane bloodlust because with the Gates, they're always 5 seconds from a fight, and they always want to fight.
Hex Gates is the new Otacon. They're just all over the map instead of at one spot. MasterCard Power Spike right there on your screen. LYON has acquired his first fully completed item with the Kraken Slayer for the Yunara. So maybe that is gonna get him paid. 1,000 gold lead for Rahel's Corki specifically.
Which is important. I feel like the first AD carry to hit, 7 items wins this game, seemingly, with the direction that we're going. But this is kind of part of how League of Legends works now, with home guards being better and with the Hex Rift getting you there.
Okay.
The map shrinks, right? The game speeds up, so it's all about how you outplay the opponent in the constant skirmishing, which is definitely the direction that this game is moving.
You remember Nexus Blitz? You remember the Ring of Fire? It's kind of just like that, but a little bit more indirect of a version.
Fighting again.
As Core JJ steps in, headbutt pull only onto Hambach. Not going to see that Gravity Well accomplish a whole lot here just yet, but Morgan has arrived. That is the largest individual gold lead in the game. This Rumble is a huge factor in the team fights. Morgan has been doing a lot of work here for Team Liquid in the past couple encounters. His equalizer, the placement, the timing on that, absolutely critical if they want to triumph and stop the soul stack here for Sentinels. Huhi on the Rakan, just trying to get as much value as he can out of those gleaming quills, those extra heals, keep everybody topped up against the poke. Impact gonna be your front line here. Over the wall goes Huhi. Quickness ready to follow it up with a heroic entrance coming down over the top, and Jose Dioto is already down. Equalizer, not a lot of value to be found as Morgan has to try to flash away, but Hambach is in hot pursuit. Team Liquid, they only lose one man, but that man is the jungler, and Sentinels are going to Soul Point.
And they crucially burn Flash off of both Team Liquid carries for future fights. Clean engage there by Huhi's Rakan, and they actually execute the jungler rather than the carry. Morgan was trying to hold the flank, so he's almost preventing the re-engage here, but Huhi flies in. You can see no other carries other than Morgan can really do any damage as LYON and Quid both just push completely out of the fight. And Sentinels win the Drake River contest yet again.
Sentinels, man. You could look at Jose Dioto's eyebrows jump up. The damage just exploding this guy before he gets the chance to respond. Okay, so last game, it took us till like post 40 minutes to get a Dragon Soul, or just about 39 or so, right? This time around, we have the chance at a Dragon Soul 24 minutes or so on the clock. We'll see if Sentinels can maintain that control. The gold lead itself is still very modest, but 3-0 Dragon State means that Team Liquid cannot afford any more mistakes when those are about to spawn.
Definitely not. And remember the way this format works. Winner is in playoffs. Loser might have to play a last chance qualifier tomorrow, and based on the preseason expectations of Team Liquid, that would be absolute insanity that they'd be playing the game to decide 6 and 7 in the standings. They could still be 5th. It depends on the way strength of victory and head-to-heads play out. We've got a great foldy sheet from our stats guy that we're going to be folding all of tomorrow to decide that. But yeah, loser of this game could still be eliminated at some point tomorrow. And with how game 1 happened and game 2 started, it's crazy that we're here, right?
Yeah.
With Sentinels almost being back to their week 2 selves, right? Sentinels loses to DSG, then they demolish Dignitas, and maybe they beat Team Liquid. They're on Morgan now.
Yeah, they immediately summon up the Orn Horn. Impact has it all ready to go here this time. Yes, he doesn't quite slam himself into the volcanic fissure how he wanted, but it means it only cost them an extra second to get that kill. And Jat, that was the plus 2,000 gold Rumble. That was what has been trying to get Team Liquid through some of these mid-game fights, and that was a free kill on the very same dude.
How much swagger does Impact have right now? He might beat Team Liquid in a series where he played Guardian Aatrox. Like, game 1 was a throwaway, and they're winning games 2 and 3 right now.
That's the ultimate mind game. You lock Guardian, you lose game 1 in the most goofball way.
Make them overconfident.
And then you win.
They goofball a little bit in game 2 because they feel like it's just a little free win, quick 2-0, go home, make playoffs, blah, blah, blah. Nope, actually, Impact's gonna just play his classic try-hard champions. He's gonna Scion lock game 2, go deathless. They're gonna set up bans. They're gonna draft for Impact's Ornn. That's what they did. They banned Trundle. They banned, what was the
Silas.
They banned Trundle Silas, and then just blind picked Ornn.
Slam Ornn.
Well, sorry, they played it into the Rumble, but still.
Who, by the way, he has Kanik Rookern now. He has Jack Show. Kanik Rookern is evolved into Kanik Rookern, or whatever we name the ornaments these days. This thing is absolutely massive against both Quid and Morgan, and Morgan's gold lead has now shrunk. This man who had twice as much of an individual advantage compared to anybody else on the Rift now has less of an individual advantage than, oh, what's this? The mid laner from the enemy team, the bot laner from the enemy team. These champions that are going to be causing a lot of issues. Team Liquid is now 3,500 gold behind. Jat, the thing that I said a couple of minutes ago about how, yeah, they're 3-0 on Drakes, but the gold lead itself is at least very modest. Not so modest anymore.
No, and Rahel with the gold lead is also going to get accelerated whenever Ornn upgrades his item. So it's looking very dire. And again, who he's hunting in the sideline. I don't even know if they have the damage to kill, but he's flashless, so they're hoping to burn ultimate, which they do, and now they can just disengage.
Yeah, just walk it off. Hambach is coming to show up, though. If Morgan overstays for this, CoreJJ is at least ready to shadow him a little bit. Meanwhile, they will at least be able to secure the top lane tier 1 turret for the Team Liquid side. That is the first turret they've got all game long. Mid and bottom are still at only a single plate, and Quid gets some extra money from that, which they are going to need. 55 seconds until the next Drake spawns. The Rumble ulti will be ready to go again for that fight, which is very, very important for the Team Liquid side.
Yeah, that could have been absolute disaster. That was totally a play just to get the Rumble ultimate. Morgan probably didn't even need to burn it. He would just imagine that there would have been more people on the way, so he was trying to shoot back some damage. At the very least, though, it's going to prevent Team Liquid's ability to contest early vision, which will allow Sentinels to have first start and really set up everything they want around this Soul. I feel like if they get Hex Soul, 90% chance they win this series, so they're ready to go, and Huhi is going to be looking for an engage here. They have great river control right now.
Muramana completed for Rahel. You've also got the extra serrated Dirk on top. Jungler's already fighting here in the river, here in the jungle of Team Liquid. All right, checking in on our Ornn upgrades. We do have that Trinity Force upgraded now for Rahel's Corki.
And
Sentinels,
this is the spot to fight.
Grouped up as 5. Rumble ulti still 5 seconds away. CoreJJ tries to jump in the middle of everybody. He's going to take a lot of damage here at the very start as Hambach wants to put pressure onto Morgan, but Hambach is already killed. Now LYON's about to be bursted down. Darkwings doesn't have any cooldowns left. The Arc of Ruin going to force the Galio back. Sonic Wave into the Resonating Strike. Hosadioto wants to go in, but he has to get right back out. Remember, there is no jungler on the side of Sentinels, so trying to take this Drake doesn't feel right.
And Hex Gates re-engaged. Look, Rumble already teleporting. CoreJJ on the way. I think they denied the Soul.
Soul stopped. It stopped. Team Liquid, it's a 1-for-0, but again, last time they were on the receiving end of the 1-for-0, but it's jungler. This time, they achieve what they're looking for.
I can't believe this worked. CoreJJ at 50% out. Flashes in for the CC on the jungler, and then I think the fact that Hambach went on to Morgan allowed him to get executed. If he just stays in river, I feel like they probably just get the Drake if they played that fight slow. but instead Hambach really tried to go fast. He's the one who falls, and Team Liquid stay in the game.
Huge, huge halting of momentum there. I'm not going to call it a swing for Team Liquid because I believe that Sentinels is still definitely in the lead. However, that gold lead has fallen by half. Team Liquid has bought themselves at least 5 more minutes before a soul would arrive. Darkwing should be able to pick up just some free gold here. Punch the turret one time, easy peasy, brings the gold lead back up to 2K. But man, these fights get crazy, man. They're fast.
They are so fast, man. This Hex Soul Team Liquid modern 2026 version, they're exciting. I don't know if they definitely don't love the way that they're playing right now because they might be losing this series, but they go for plays. Sentinels, I feel like, is generally playing the more controlled style, which is crazy. They're just trying to set up around these Drakes, burn crucial cooldowns. They're still going to be scaling with this Ornn. Rahel really just needs to get more and more items because I'd say YON, based on items, is right there with him at the moment, but it'll scale in the favor of Corki as he completes more and more items.
You still do have YON's Yunara, though, with those Fiend Bolts. The item, the new AD carry item that is it's another thing kind of like Experimental Hexplate, where it's really good on the champs that really like it, even if it's kind of useless on the majority of champs overall. Any marksman that really wants to turn on their ult for the team fight, Twitch, Yunara, Zeri, all these types of things, loves this thing.
And I will actually say, even though the front line is really good against Victor Rumble, the front line's pretty low on armor. Finally, Seeker's Arm Guard is built by Darkwings. That gives him a bit. You get a little bit of armor from the Jack Show on Ornn, but YON will also be able to completely shred the front line if he's able to scale. So Team Liquid's just playing this slow game here where they're just hoping that they can deny this soul as long as possible.
Third item completed, though, for Rahel, Collector on the Corki. So he'll also be able to shred low armor targets. There is no armor built on Morgan. There is no armor built on Quid. There is, I mean, yeah, you've got Zeke's on Core JJ, but it's not a lot. Obviously, YON won't be building armor. So this is going to give you some good value, some good burst here for that Corki. And like we saw earlier when Rahel jumped in on YON when they ran into each other in the river, Rahel can go aggro if they need him to.
He really can. They're just going to start the Baron, accelerate the game a little bit more. Quid was trying to push the side wave. They're likely just looking for an engage here. Impact level 16 on this Ornn.
You're seeing on my way pings coming out from the Team Liquid side towards the Baron, though. This Baron DPS is not particularly fast. Team Liquid is going to make their way over. Morgan gets taunted up, though. A lot of combo damage onto the Rumble, and Hambach's ready to create some space for everybody else. Core JJ down to half HP. Here comes the Ornn Horn, and Impact with the sideline kill on Morgan starts it off. Now YON's in danger. He might get focused. Rahel flies in. Hambach is down, but so is YON. Team Liquid has lost everybody except for Quid and Hosedioto, and Sentinels still has 4 men. Health bars are compromised, though. Darkwing's gonna go ahead, go back to base for now. The bloodbath ends with nobody claiming the Baron, but a decided victory for Sentinels.
Man, YON tried so hard in that fight. He just doesn't have the gold to be effective. He managed to space the Impact CC at the very end to stay alive, but Rahel, even bigger after that fight. 2,500 gold lead. He's getting the last hits from these fights because Impact and Darkwings, if they fight away from YON, are untouchable. Look at what they're able to do to Morgan right here. And then YON is distracted, can't hit the Xin, has to deal with Huhi. So Morgan just gets kind of soloed by Impact on the top side there. And at the end here, look at what YON does. He goes in, doesn't get CC'd by that Ornn, but at the end of the day, those are 2 4,000 health tanks that he really can't touch. And the Victor is not able to shred through the MR stacking soul laners of Sentinels.
Sentinels now have 30 seconds on the clock until Dragon Soul time is once again at their fingertips. You can see they've already got their support units in position around the area.
This might be a long one, Flowers. Take a drink, make sure you're hydrated, because even if this fight starts and someone dies, they could keep fighting until the Hex Gates come back. So right now, insane vision control from Sentinels. Huhi doesn't have ultimate, but it's up in 5 seconds. I think that's what they're waiting for. You can see him on the flank. If Team Liquid try and move in, Huhi's going to go for an engage, and we're going to see a fight.
And Hosedioto has always been around this area for these dragon fights, always ready to jump in over the wall with the Lee Sin. That seems to be who he is marking with his recon. Hambach and Rahel DPSing the dragon slowly but surely.
It's a flip.
Got it down to about 2,500, and Impact is going in here with the Orn. He knocks him up into the air, and they've already claimed the soul, and Morgan's soul as well. Dark Wings drawing the ire of LYON off to the side, but it's only a distraction, as now Team Liquid's gonna lose their second man. A double kill for Rahel, and Hambach wants even more. Wind becomes lightning, and lightning strikes Quid, as he's again forced to retreat. Team Liquid, they lose 2 men, they lose the Dragon Soul, they lose control over the top side of the map, and now the Baron should go the way of Sentinels.
Jose still hoping to pull off a miracle, has the control ward inside, has another control ward and a trinket to check, but I mean, this is a rather big ask to try and steal the Baron away from this Hextech sold Sentinels team.
Team Liquid fans, spam your Tukis. Jose Dioto's got to go for the miracle here because Sentinels really wants this Baron. Jose Dioto throwing the Q over the wall. He jumps into the pit. The Baron's still at 2,500 HP. Meanwhile, Dark Wings is ready to follow up over the wall. He finds the taunt onto 2. Nobody else wants to overcommit to chasing Lee Sin and Alistar. The Baron goes over to the Sentinels side, and what a massive swing for this team now. If they weren't in the lead convincingly enough before, this one's real tough for TL.
And they played this fight really well. Look at the flanks they're holding. Huhi on the right, Darkwings on the left, Impact up the middle. Team Liquid had to go in for the Drake, but it was too low by the time they did, so Sentinels get it anyway, and then there's no retreat. I'd say Darkwings is having a great game. I mean, if you consider going up against a former LCS MVP, a lot of people wondering how Darkwings is going to coordinate with his team, who often plays in full Korean, and he just has to follow along. He's been right there. His ults have been great. He's been on good roam timings. He's kept up in lane against Quid. He hasn't been picked once. He has been doing exceptional. And stay tuned for this post-series interview with Impact. He's going to have so much swagger if he beats Team Liquid in this series.
This is going to be like a storybook, what you get in the interview for this game. Between the game 1 all the way up through now, if they can manage to turn it around and win the series. CoreJJ is already almost dead. As soon as Hambach goes in for the prime 3-talon strike, knocks him up into the air, that's going to force out your Unbreakable Will, which means CoreJJ now has to wait for that cooldown to do anything other than go in and die after one combo in a team fight.
Not completely over yet, though. So 1 minute, 30 seconds on this Baron power play. They have to make it count. They are a short-range team. So they have big-time tanks, but it's really just Corki who can safely hit these turrets. They might have to full commit for a dive, which can get messy.
And they're ready to step up and start putting that pressure
if they can
on.
just hit it, though.
Yeah, the first turret, there's no defense here from TL. Hambach steps forward, audacious charge on the minion for the better positioning for Wind becomes lightning, means that Team Liquid feels that presence. They have to back away, and now the top lane tier 3 gets knocked out by Dark Wings right thereafter. That means that this will be a 2-inhib game immediately without much of a fight being put up by Team Liquid, who are now this close to losing this series. LYON gets jumped on, Ornhorn coming through, heroic entrance right next to it. LYON's about to die, and Impact's taking the kill all for himself. Jose Dioto can't get to the back line. Who he might die, the turret shot's in the air. Quid takes the credit for it, but the first Nexus turret is already about to fall. Morgan wants to hold with the flame spitter, but it's just not hot enough. Rahel and the rest of Sentinels push forward towards the Nexus itself, and Quid and Morgan can't stop them. 2-1, Sentinels takes the dub.
And Sentinels move on to lock in playoffs. An insane progression from this team. They lose to DSG week 1. They sweep Dignitas week 2, and then they win the back half of this series. Impact, he's wiping the sweat off his brow. If they lose this series because he takes Guardian Aatrox in game 1 against his former team, that's going to be a tough one to live down. But now beating them with that actually even sweetens the victory.